The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hey, welcome into a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, presented, of course, by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the markets for a brand new or slightly used automobile, you need to hightail it over to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown because, well, here's the deal. If you need a car and you're looking to buy a car, used car, new car, whatever, there's always three qualities that you want to look at. You want to make sure that the sales department is on point. You want to make sure that those people aren't going to sell you a lemon. You want to make sure they're honest. You want to make sure the finance department is on point because, well, who wants to pay for a car with 10 or 11 or 12 or 15% interest? I mean, even if you have a crappy credit like, some people, and I'm not going to mention any names, but you want to be able to afford your car and not pay out the ass for interest rates. And obviously, once you purchase the car, you want to make sure that that car is going to run really well, so you need to have a great service department. Well, Greenwood Chevrolet has all three. They've got an unbelievably good sales department. They have got a great finance department, and they've got an even better service department. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. So Greenwood Chevrolet, Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. You need to go there. You need to, if you need a car, you need to go there, plain and simple. They're sponsoring the show. We thank them very much for that. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. All right, last night, plenty of girls basketball, and tonight, plenty of guys basketball on the network. We'll get to everything. I was over at Heartland Christian, the Purple Palace, for the Heartland Christian Camel game. This is the second time that we've broadcast Camel. They scored 20 points again last night, unfortunately, in a losing effort for Camel. Heartland Christian came out and a nice job. Maddie Matthews, 17 points in the game. Just a really solid effort for Heartland Christian as they get the job done. They improve their record to 1-2 on the campaign. I know there were some really, really good games on the network last night. South Range getting an impressive victory over Struthers as the Lady Raiders, Jeff Fischel's kids, are now 2-1 on the campaign. Poland opened up their NE8 play with a very nice win over Jefferson as well. Canfield tripped up by CVCA. Ursuline had a big fourth quarter, a monster-sized fourth quarter, actually. Crestview did a real nice job on them defensively. Then in the fourth quarter, it got away from the Lady Rebs as Ursuline outscored Crestview 20-7 in the fourth quarter, and they knocked off the Lady Rebels 46-39. We're waiting on a couple of things right now. I know the OHSAA, they are going to be updating the All-Ohio first, second, third, and honorable mention. All Ohio, first team, second team, third team, and honorable mention. We, during the program yesterday, we got word of the D6 and the D7 All-Ohio teams announced, and we were right there to give everyone their props, and we'll do the same tonight, or today, I should say. That should be coming down momentarily from the OHSAA, somewhere around 1 o'clock. So we will have Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle sports editor Doug Chapin on at 1 o'clock. And as soon as the interview is over with Doug, if the All Ohio teams have been announced for D5 and D4 prior to the interview, then we'll just run through the names and then pick up on the interview as quickly as possible. If it's during the interview, then obviously after the interview with Doug Chapin from the Vindicator and the Tribune Chronicle, we'll get to the names. But we're anticipating an announcement from the OHSAA very shortly in terms of the All-Ohio for Division 5 as well as Division 4. And then tomorrow we'll have All-Ohio announcements for Division 3 and Division 2. Thursday we will have All-Ohio for Division 1. Not that it matters around these parts because, well, let's face it, we don't have a Division 1 program around here. And then we'll have the Mr. Football announcements on Thursday, which pretty good chance that we have a couple of good candidates for Mr. Ohio. Now, I don't know if Mr. Hollabaugh or Mr. Brungard are going to be a part of it, but I would consider both of them to be a pretty decent candidate for Mr. Football. The problem is 9 times out of 10 they're picking Mr. Football from a bigger school. So you wouldn't be surprised if neither one of the very worthy candidates in our area are not going to be named Mr. Football, but we'll see. We'll see. Boys basketball on the network tonight. Wellsville and Southern's already been canceled because Southern Local has canceled all of their sports until early January. JV game starting at 5:30 tonight in Springfield. Jackson Milton is at Springfield. That's a 5:30 start for the JVs. Varsity game starting at 7 o'clock tonight or somewhere in the vicinity. And actually that is, let me back up for a second. That Springfield-Jackson Milton game is varsity only. That is a varsity only game. That game will start at 5:30. Crestview's at Beaver Local. Scheduled start at 7 o'clock. That means the JVs are playing at 5:30. Again, with varsity basketball, unless it's a varsity-only game scheduled, you're basically at the mercy of how quick the JV game goes. So the game is supposed to be at 7 o'clock, give or take a few minutes. Again, anytime the varsity game is scheduled for 7 o'clock, if it is a varsity game at 7 o'clock, you know that the JV start at 5:30. So then, like I said, you're at the mercy of how quickly the JV game goes. So the varsity game set to begin tonight at 7 o'clock down at Beaver Local. Crestview is at Beaver Local. South Range is at Canfield, again, scheduled time at 7 o'clock. United is at Leetonia. Bears are going to be without a couple of kids. It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. This will be Leetonia's first varsity game of the year. United has already played 2 games. They are 0-2 on the campaign. That is at 7 o'clock scheduled start as well. Sebring is at Waterloo. That should be an interesting game. That is a 7 o'clock start. Boardman is at Cheney. That is going to be a phenomenal game. Cheney is actually scratch that because Cheney is out until January. You got to scratch that. It's we got so many of the teams that are down because of the COVID, and they've already announced that they're down until January. Fitch is supposed to play Talmadge. Now, Talmadge is in Summit County, and I'm not sure about this one because I'm not sure that Summit County is in purple. I'd have to take a look at the latest in terms of the COVID outbreaks. But if this game is played, it's scheduled to start at 7 o'clock, the varsity game. And again, the 7 o'clock varsity games means 5:30 JV start. And we're at the mercy of the JV games. Mineral Ridge is at Western Reserve, and that is supposed to be a 7 o'clock varsity start. We'll see what happens there. Camel is supposed to be at Hubbard tonight. And Conotton Valley is supposed to be at Newcomerstown. That's a 7:30 start, which means the JV start at 6 o'clock. So whenever you see a varsity game scheduled to start at 7:30, that means that the JV start at 6 o'clock. But like I said, we'll see what happens there. Valley Christian is supposed to play Cardinal Mooney tonight. That is a 7:30 start. Again, JVs will start at 6 o'clock. And that's the schedule for tonight on the network. So there you go. All right, 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We will keep you updated and abreast as to when the OHSAA is planning on announcing their All-Ohio in Division 5 as well as Division 4. We'll keep you abreast of that. We made mention high school basketball on the network tonight. We can talk some girls basketball. If you want to talk, if you're a Steelers fan and you want to talk about the disaster that happened yesterday in Pittsburgh against the Washington Redskins, actually the Washington Football Club, my mistake. I still consider them to be the Redskins. I don't know why, but Washington beat Pittsburgh, and we can talk a little bit about that if you wish. Look, I will say this. In the last couple of games, the Steelers have completely abandoned the run, and it shows. You know, when you only have 14 running plays and 53 passing plays, you're going to lose. Plain and simple. You're going to lose. Now, the bad news as a Bills fan, and by the way, my Bills looked really good last night. The bad news for me as a Bills fan is, well, Pittsburgh got their loss out of the way. I would expect the Steelers are going to be a much more focused team on Sunday night, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires on Sunday night. Now, I know a lot of Browns fans are going to sit back and go, the division's in play now. Slow it down. Slow it down here. All right, you're still 2 games out of first place, and actually it's 3 games because you don't have the tiebreaker right now. If you're a Browns fan, real simple. Play it 1 game at a time. Listen, I made mention today on social media. There is so much similarities with Buffalo and Cleveland. Not just city-wise, but there's so much similarities between those two organizations and bringing back a new fan base and the older fan base, the people that remember the glory days of with the Browns of the early 70s, if you want to go back that far, skimming off of the last championship that the Browns won in the NFL was 1964. Well, they also went to the 1965 NFL championship game, lost to Lombardi's Packers, went to the 68 NFL championship game, got bombed by Baltimore, who later lost to the Jets in Super Bowl III. Went to the NFL championship game, got beat by the Vikings, who then lost to the Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. And that was the last game where the Super Bowl was completely a separate entity from an NFL championship game. The NFL championship games from 1970 on have been Super Bowl V on. But the first 4 Super Bowls were not an NFL championship. The NFL championship games were a separate entity because the AFL was a separate league from the NFL. There's a little history lesson for everyone. Having said that, in the early 70s, Browns went to the playoffs a couple of years. I think 71 they went to the playoffs. 72 they went to the playoffs, and then they crapped on themselves in the mid 70s, late 70s. I think 79 they just missed going to the playoffs, and then the cardiac kids era of 1980. They finished 11-5. lost to the eventual Super Bowl champ Oakland Raiders in that god-awful freezing cold, 37 degree below zero wind chill factor day in Cleveland in January of 1981. And, a couple of years later, they're in the AFC Championship game, losing to the Broncos in 86, 87, 89. Meanwhile, the Bills in the 70s, not really all that good. They had OJ and a bunch of garbage. 1980, like the Browns, 11-5. Like the Browns, they lost a game that they should have won. Got beat by the San Diego Chargers in the divisional playoff game, 20-14. Joe Ferguson was playing on a sprained ankle. Had he been healthy, Bills probably win that game. No excuses. The 80s, unlike the Browns, were hopeless for the Bills. But in the late 80s, about 88 all the way through 93. It was a great time to be a Bills fan. I mean, 4 straight Super Bowls, 90, 91, 92, 93. 88, they went to the AFC Championship game. 89, they should have gone to an AFC title game. They were a Ronnie Harmon drop pass in Cleveland away from going to the AFC Championship game. Ultimately, it was a great time to be a Browns and a Bills fan in those eras. And both organizations fell on some really crappy times. The Browns lost their franchise in the mid-90s. The Bills were lost as a franchise after the Super Bowl runs, and they hadn't gotten close to being where they should have gone, although they made one playoff appearance, the Music City mugging. And when they got screwed out of a victory against Tennessee, neither here nor there. Both teams are now starting to invoke some pretty cool memories of yesteryear. And I went to social media this morning on my Twitter account and said, if you're a relatively new fan of the Browns or the Bills since 2000, you're getting a really small taste, but a small taste of what life was like in the 80s as a Browns fan, in the late 80s, early 90s as a Bills fan. I mean, this is fun, and both teams playing really, really well at the same time is a lot of fun as well. And then you've got the Steelers at 11-1, and in Steeler Nation, I would sit back and just say, relax. Look. We mentioned this yesterday, and I know this is mainly local, but it needs to be said. We mentioned this yesterday. If the Steelers are going to lose a game, you want to lose the game to the NFC, because the NFC has nothing to do with the first tiebreaker, assuming that Pittsburgh and Kansas City remain tied at the end of the year. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head. Well, they didn't play each other this year. So the second tiebreaker is best conference record. Well, Kansas City's loss went to an AFC team. Pittsburgh hasn't lost to an AFC team yet. So if the playoffs were to begin right now, Pittsburgh would still have the number 1 seed because they're undefeated in the AFC. Their lone loss was to a horrible, but a NFC team. That's their lone loss. Now, if you're a Browns fan and you're looking at this and you're like, hey, we're 2 games out. Well, actually, you're 3 games out because Pittsburgh owns the tiebreaker. But take care of business. Beat the Ravens, beat the Jets, beat the Giants. I think it's Ravens, Giants, Jets, to be technical. I think it is. One or the other. Beat the Ravens and both of the New Jersey teams. I refuse to call them New York because they don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey. You beat those 3 teams, and now you're 12-3 going into the last game of the year. And I still think, even though Pittsburgh is going to be a much more focused team on Sunday, I still think the Bills can beat Pittsburgh on Sunday. 3rd game, 12 days. I still think Buffalo's going to get the job done. So that would be a second loss. Before the Steelers play Cleveland, they have to play Indianapolis. There's a chance, a chance, a small chance, but a chance. See, it's a small chance because a lot of things really have to go right. the Browns would have to continue doing what they're doing, and I'm not convinced they can beat Baltimore on Monday night in Cleveland, although I'm hoping and praying that they do. If they're 12-3 and the Steelers are 12-3 going into the last game of the year, okay, you're seriously going to see just a great last week of the National Football League. There's a long way to go. And if you're a Browns fan, you still don't worry about the division right now. The division takes care of itself. Look, Browns Nation, come on board the Bills Mafia, because you guys need us. You guys need us in a big, big way. You need us to knock off Pittsburgh in a huge, huge way so you can get a little bit closer to the Steelers. But I'm telling you right now, if both teams are 12-3 going into that last game in Cleveland, oh, bejeebers, is that going to be a lot of fun. As for the Bills, here's an interesting little potential Christmas gift. If the Bills win, Miami's got Kansas City, and I'm not sure that Miami can take out Kansas City, although that game is in Miami. If the Bills win on Sunday night against Pittsburgh, and that's a big if, I still think they can, but Pittsburgh is going to be now focused. They got their shitty game out of the way. They're going to be focused now. If Buffalo can beat Pittsburgh and Miami loses to Kansas City, then the Bills win the division with a victory next Saturday night in Denver. And that's very doable because the Broncos have had a struggling year this year. Bills could wrap up the AFC East before Christmas, and man, would that be fun. All right, hot off the presses, kids. The Division 4 and Division 5 All-Ohio teams have just been posted. And again, like yesterday, we are going to go through this. I'm reading it blind. So I just want everyone to understand that we're literally getting this information as of right now. All right, Division 4, first team, All-Ohio. Here we go. Congratulations, Brock Hillier from West Branch. He is a first-team All-Ohio quarterback. Congratulations to Brock Hillier. We're running through the running backs, and I don't see anybody right now. Let's go to wide receivers, where we find Matthew Reardon. Dan Reardon's son, first team All-Ohio at wide receiver. The 6'1", 184-pound senior is a first team All-Ohio at wide receiver. Congratulations to Matthew Reardon. By the way, let me give the height and particulars to Brock Hillier as well. I want to be fair. Brock Hillier, 5'10", 180-pound senior, quarterback at West Branch, first team All-Ohio. Congratulations to him. All right, along the offensive line, I don't see anybody locally. Nobody locally in the kicking game. Let's go to the defensive line, where we find Ryan Pegues. The 5'8", 217-pound senior from Ursuline, first team All-Ohio. Congratulations to him. First team All-Ohio at linebacker, Dante Walker from Ursuline, 5'9", 204 pounds. Congratulations to Dante Walker. All right, nobody in the defensive backfield. We don't have a punter, so let's go to the second team. Second team All-Ohio, we will find Nick Wilson from West Branch, the 6'1", 150-pound junior wide receiver. He is second team All-Ohio. Second team All-Ohio on the offensive line. Congratulations to the 6'5", 265-pound sophomore from East Liverpool, Mason Ludwig. And what a future this kid has. Just a sophomore, second team All-Ohio. Congratulations, Mason Ludwig from East Liverpool High School. All right, on the defense. And again, keep in mind, we are going through this as carefully as possible because we do not want to overlook anybody. So I'm going through this as carefully as possible to make sure that we do not have anybody missing from our list. you know what? I'm gonna back up for just a second because I completely forgot. We do have the entire conference, which West Branch is in. So I want to because I just saw some kids from Canton South getting an honor on the second team. So I want to backtrack just a little bit and make sure that we are getting all of the kids from that conference. So I'm scaling again the first team because, again, our apologies. We completely forgot about the entire conference, not just Salem and West Branch. All right, so and now we're in the second team. Okay, second team. Let me back up for a second. Second team on the running back from Carrollton, the 5'9", 150-pound sophomore, Chase Ulstrom. Chase Ulstrom from Carrollton is second team All-Ohio, the 5'9", 150-pound sophomore is second team All-Ohio. Congratulations to him. We made mention, Nick Wilson, second team All-Ohio at wide receiver, 6'1", $150. He is a junior. We made mention, Mason Ludwig, second team All-Ohio on the offensive line, 6'5", 265-pound sophomore. This is really cool, the fact that there's 3 underclassmen, second team All-Ohio on the offensive side of the ball. All right, second team defense. Congratulations to Trent Shavers from Canton South, 6'3", 220-pound senior. He is second team All-Ohio on the defensive line. Congratulations to him. All right, we go to the linebacking core, nobody local. We go to the defensive backfield where we find Tanner Johnson from Beaver Local. Second team All-Ohio, Tanner Johnson, Beaver Local High School, 5'10", 175-pound senior. Congratulations to Tanner Johnson. And that is it for the second team. Let's go to the third team, All-Ohio. And we are shut out in the skill position offensively. Shut out in the skill position, and it looks like we're going to be shut out completely on offense on third team All-Ohio. So we'll flip over to the defensive side of the ball, and we are going to be shut out there as well. All right, so nobody gets third team honors. So we'll go to honorable mention. As we go honorable mention to the quarterbacks, we find Howard Williams, the 6'1", 175-pound senior. Also, honorable mention All-Ohio at quarterback Brady Shannon, 6'3", 212-pound junior, and Jack Fulton, the 6'1", 195-pound junior. All three of these gentlemen, honorable mention All-Ohio. At the running back position, excuse me, DeMarcus McElroy from Ursuline, 5'8", 167-pound junior, and Alec Wilson from West Branch, the 5'10", 215-pound senior. Both of these gentlemen are honorable mention in the running back position. So congratulations to those two gentlemen. Now we go on to the offensive line where we find Dylan Moore. Actually, let me take that back. Wide receiver. My mistake. Wide receiver, honorable mention, All-Ohio, Dylan Moore, 5'10", 170-pound senior from Beaver Local. Dominic Melito, the 6'3", 200-pound junior from Girard. Both of these kids, honorable mention, All-Ohio at the wide receiver position. Now we go along the offensive line. And along the offensive line, we will find Nick Jones, the 6'1", 250-pound senior, along with Carson Stockman, The 6'2", 258-pound junior. By the way, Nick Jones from Carrollton, my mistake. Carson Stockman from Salem. Brian Frasco from Ursuline, 6'3", 288-pound sophomore. Nate Williams, the 6'4", 280-pound senior from Poland. His teammate, Carter Kellgren from Poland, 6'5", 305-pound senior. All of those kids, honorable mention on the offensive line. Now we go to the defensive line, where we will find Payne Allen from Beaver Local, the 6'1", 205-pound senior. Josh Knipp from Carrollton, 6 foot, 205-pound senior. Dom Parker, 5'11", 215-pound junior from Poland. And Nasib Lloyd, 6'1", 275-pound junior from Girard. Those gentlemen have been named honorable mention All-Ohio along the defensive line. Now let's go to the linebacker position, and we're running through the linebacker position right now. We find John Edmonds from Ursuline, 6 foot, 218-pound junior. Peyton Mrakovic from Poland, 6 foot, 205-pound senior. His teammate, Christian Colosimo, from Poland, 6'1", 220-pound junior. Tyler Maddox from Girard, 5'7", 200-pound senior. Brock Smith from West Branch, 5'10", 195-pound senior. All of those kids named honorable mention All-Ohio in the linebacker position. Now let's go to the defensive backfield. And in the defensive backfield, we will find Jakelon Irving, the 6'1", 165-pound junior. He'll be joined in the defensive backfield by Andrew Senafanti, 6'1", 185-pound senior from Poland, and David McKeever from West Branch, 5'10", 165-pound senior. They are all Ohio honorable mention along the defensive backfield. Also honorable mention punter. In the state of Ohio, we have Brandon Kilpatrick from Lakeview, 6 foot, 200-pound senior. So those are your Division IV all-state players. D4 all-state players. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will have Division V. The Division V all-state players coming up in just a bit. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at
Baby boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our
Good
valley.
afternoon. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone.
No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at WRSInsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day, whether you're working from home enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart. Count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, we made mention to the 4 all-state football players. Let's go to Division 5. And again, in the state of Ohio, you have 3 teams, and then you have the honorable mention at each position. So Division 4, good representation. Let's go to Division 5. Congratulations, Michael Patrone from South Range High School. He is a first-team All-Ohio at quarterback. The 6'2", 195-pound senior making All-Ohio first team. As we go to the rest of the offense, we're shut out in the running back position. Don't have anyone first-team All-Ohio locally in the running back position, nor do we have anyone locally in the wide receiver position. So let's go along the offensive line, and we're shut out there, although I will say, and that this will be a team that we'll be talking about next year, and that would be Riley Laporte from Garrettsville Garfield, 6'3", 265-pound junior. That team is going to be a part of the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference next year, and Riley will be a senior next year. He was first-team All-Ohio along the offensive line, so congratulations to him. First team along the defensive line, congratulations to Luke Blasco from South Range, 5'10", 185-pound senior, first-team All-Ohio. And the linebacking position, congratulations to William Hardenbrook from Crestview High School, 6'2", 190-pound senior linebacker, first-team All-Ohio. On the defensive backfield, we don't have anybody, and we don't have any punters. All right, so let's go to the second team. We're shut out at the quarterback position. So we'll go to the running back position. Second team All-Ohio. Congratulations, Dylan Dominguez from South Range High School, 5'11", 190-pound senior. Also, congratulations to Anthony Dema from Garrettsville Garfield, 5'10", 175-pound junior. They are both All-Ohio second team at running back. Wide receiver spot, we have been shut out. Along the offensive line, we have also been shut out. So we'll go on the defensive line. And defensive line shutouts. We'll go to the linebacker position. Nothing there. We'll go to the DB spot. Well, we're shut out on the second team defensively. So let's go to the third team, All-Ohio. And keep in mind, there's not a lot of Division V schools from the YSN family. I think there's Champion, Crestview, South Range. And I think that's about it. We're looking through the third team offensively, and I don't see anybody. So we'll go to the third team along the defensive line and the linebacker position. Nobody there. We'll go to the defensive backfield. Nobody there. So let's see if we got anything honorable mention-wise. Shutout at the quarterback position will go Zaire Rogers from Cardinal Mooney. There's a D5 school. 5'9", 175-pound junior running back. He is All-Ohio honorable mention. So honorable mention for Zaire Rogers from Cardinal Mooney. Honorable mention on the wide receiving core, Luke Crumbacher from South Range, 5'11", 150-pound senior. Honorable mention at the wide receiver position. Offensive line, honorable mention goes to Wyatt Babick from Crestview, 6'1", 295-pound senior. Also honorable mention along the offensive line to Kerry Hewlett from Cardinal Mooney, 6'1", 320-pound senior. Michael Lally from South Range, 6', 240-pound junior. Also Jacob Brooks from South Range, 5'10", 210-pound junior. They were all honorable mention along the offensive line, joined by Austin Roman from Garrettsville Garfield, 6'3", 305-pound junior. Place kicker, honorable mention, and this is huge. This might be the first female to be All-Ohio in football. I'd have to look this up, but Harley Novak from South Range, 5'11", 135-pound senior. Harley Novak just made All-Ohio, honorable mention, but All-Ohio as a kicker, and we're going to have to look and see if this is the first female to be All-Ohio in football in Ohio High School Athletic Association history. I'm not 100% sure on that, but an incredible moment for Harley Novak from South Range, the female place kicker for South Range, 5'11", 135-pound senior. She is All-Ohio honorable mention as a place kicker. All right, on the defensive line, let's see if we got anybody locally honorable mention-wise. Aaron Craver, 5'11", 185-pound senior from Garrettsville Garfield. Will Scretta from Cardinal Mooney, 6'1", 215-pound senior. They are all Ohio honorable mention along the defensive line. The linebacking core, running down the numbers here real quick. Michael Pistella from Cardinal Mooney, 6'1", 210-pound senior. Logan Cormel from South Range, 5'8", 185-pound junior. And Austin Lysiak from Garrettsville Garfield, 6', 195-pound senior. All Ohio in the linebacker position. Now let's go honorable mention All Ohio in the linebacker position. Now let's go to the DBs. Brandon Janssens from Crestview, 5'8", 160-pound senior. All Ohio on the defensive backfield, honorable mention, All Ohio. And Colin Lysiak, All Ohio, honorable mention as a punter, 6', 160-pound junior from Garrettsville Garfield. So there you go. There's your All Ohio Division 4 and Division 5. We will get back to those during the course of the show. So congratulations to all of those kids. The area represented extremely well in Division 4 as well as Division 5. And again, tomorrow, D2 and D3 All Ohio will be announced. That will be tomorrow. D2 and D3. So there you go. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. We'll take your phone calls and talk about anything you'd like, as we are with you right up until 3 o'clock this afternoon on a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austin Town. All right, we have basketball tonight, boys basketball. on the network. Again, 5:30, varsity only. Jackson Milton will go to Springfield as they take on the Springfield Tigers. That is a 5:30 varsity-only basketball game tonight over in Springfield. Beaver Local will be hosting Crestview. That is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. And again, let me just reiterate what we'll continue to say during the course of the winter. In the winter time, during basketball season, if you see a varsity game that is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock, that is at the mercy of the JV game. JV games would start at 5:30. And depending on how quickly the JV game goes, that is when the varsity game will start. So the varsity game between Crestview and Beaver Local is supposed to start at 7. All right, let's get to the phone lines real quick. 330-886-0813. Tony, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. What's going on?
Can you talk some Bills or not?
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, man?
Nothing. You enjoy your game last night?
I did. It was you know, they started out slow and they started out a little questionable, but you know, once they
do you really think that? I mean, they drove the first possession down to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was. They didn't finish.
Then they started making some questionable calls on the running plays.
Yeah, they didn't finish. They didn't finish what they started. They you know, I mean, it was nice to get down to the 1, but they didn't finish what they started, and it was tough to see that. You know, it was good to see the goal line stand. I thought the Bills played. You know, they played soft defensively until that goal line stand. Then they got it rolling again. The fumble by Moss, that was garbage. But after that fumble, from that point, I thought the Bills were, good God, I thought they were exciting to watch. And it was a
even
was
after
a fun
that fumble,
performance.
Ron, the defense came in and held them for what? 4 plays inside the 10 or so.
Yeah, it was only 2. It was 3. It was 3 plays, and I think the third or fourth down they got the touchdown. But you know, I thought after the answer that they had, they went down the field, they tied the ball game, and from that point, I just we're on, we're back to normal, and Buffalo played a solid game, but you know, it didn't start out all that great, but. Man, what a great finish, though, because that was by and large, after a somewhat slow start, it was a dominating performance by Buffalo.
Yeah, the other thing is, so I consider those 2 goal line stands, even though one ended up with a touchdown, but pretty impressive to step up in a bad situation when you're gassed in the first place. But the end of the game, the one where they had, who was it, Poyer or Hyde came up and made the tackle at the goal line, overturned the touchdown, and then shut them down at the goal line.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It was Micah Hyde that did that. And Micah Hyde had a really good game. He played really well. I thought Edmonds was fantastic, and you can see
he's been hurt all year. People,
yeah.
You know, with an aching shoulder, it's tough to stick it in there, isn't it?
And you can see that this team is a lot different when Milano is on the field. Matt Milano he was really good last night. He's definitely a difference maker, and it's hard to believe that he was a 5th round draft pick. But yeah, he was definitely a difference maker last night, and they're gonna need him to be healthy, especially this Sunday. I hope he comes out of that game against the Niners very healthy, so they can give him a full load of duty, because they're gonna need a full load of duty from him to get past the Steelers on Sunday.
You know what really impresses me in it now, A.J. Klein, for people who don't follow the Bills, A.J. Klein has stepped in and filled in for Milano and has come a long way this season. He made a transition to an off linebacker from the middle linebacker position, and struggled initially, but has really come on in the last 3-4 weeks. I was watching their special teams, and son of a gun, at 54 didn't streak across my screen on special teams.
Yeah, their special teams unit is one of the best in the NFL, and it's they're not just doing it offensively or defensively. Their special teams is, for lack of a better word, special. I mean, I'm not trying to be a smartass, but it is a very fun unit. All 3 of these units, when they're healthy, this Bills team is a top 2, top 3 team in the AFC, and definitely a top
and you can
5
see the
NFL
magic
team.
of a kid who has a freaky strong leg. What he can add to your team. He had so much more in the field goal end of it, but he can also play games on the kickoff where he's dropping it at the goal line and challenging you to bring it out.
Yeah. I mean, and I love the fact that he hits the ball very high. There are going to be some times where he doesn't put it into the end zone, but he puts it sky high into about the 5-yard line.
I think intentionally requiring them to bring it out. I mean, they
absolutely.
didn't get past the 20 anytime they brought it out.
Yeah, no, that's intentional. I mean, especially if he gets it to the 5-yard line, he's putting so much air into that ball. It gives the kids enough time to get down there, and you're not going to get a big return out of the deal. He's a very talented kicker. I was at the beginning of training camp. I had my doubts, and I was really disappointed when they released Hauschka, but the organization certainly knows what they're doing because this kid, he's special.
Well, they knew the strength of it. He was the one who did all those trick long field goals on videos and stuff, but they knew the strength of his leg going in. Hey, if I can complain a little bit, and again, it's only because I have such great love for Josh Allen. You know that. And where he was in the draft and all the guys who got picked ahead of him and Baker Mayfield's, future Hall of Famer, just ask anybody in the area. But I was so disappointed. They're back to that discussion, and I looked at the statistics, of the seasonal statistics this morning, and Josh Allen is heads and shoulders above Baker Mayfield. And I looked at strength of schedule is another one when you're a Browns fan or a Steelers fan. You're in the bottom 5 in strength of schedule, and that means a lot in the 16-game schedule, just wearing your bodies out. In the grind of the season. Whereas the Bills in the AFC East, they're in the top 5.
Yeah, the Bills have played a tough schedule. There's no two ways about that, and they're playing in what was a very difficult NFC West this year. And oh, by the way, they went 3-1 and should have gone 4-0 had it not been for the Hail Murray. But look, I think Sunday night we're going to find out where this Buffalo team is. If they can knock off Pittsburgh on Sunday night, I think that this team, I think it would be a gigantic disappointment if this team is not in the AFC Championship game, if they can beat Pittsburgh on Sunday. I think the Steeler game is going to have a whole lot more meaning now to it because I am a firm believer that Pittsburgh is now woken up after that embarrassing defeat at the hands of Washington yesterday. I think that they're going to be waking up, and I think they're going to be angry. And I think that they're going to be very physical on Sunday, and I'll be real curious to see what Buffalo can do on Sunday. But I'm going to tell you right now, Tony, if Buffalo can beat Pittsburgh on Sunday, and I firmly believe they can, if they can beat Pittsburgh on Sunday, my expectations for the Bills have just gone AFC Championship game, and anything less is a major disappointment.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But I look at the Steelers game. The Steelers have been sneaking through a lot of games. It wasn't just this week. They snuck through one last week, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, but a win's a win. I mean, look at I know that the comparison between the two, there is no comparison, but go back to the 2002 year when Ohio State won the national championship. Ohio State sleptwalked half of the season. They should have been dead and buried against Purdue, and 2 or 3 other teams gave them a really, really tough game. And they hung on and got the job done. I mean, look, a win's a win for me. If you win by 1, if you win by 101, it's still a win at the end of the day. Now, having said that, I think a lot of people are now looking at the Steelers in a much, much different light. I don't necessarily agree with with that. But they're looking at the Steelers in a much different light, saying, "Oh, now you guys got beat. Let's see what you're made of on Sunday." And I think that's why Pittsburgh is going to come out on Sunday, rip-roaring, ready to go. And if Buffalo can beat Pittsburgh on Sunday night, which I believe they can, then again, I think that Buffalo's and I think Buffalo's ceiling gets a whole lot higher if they beat Pittsburgh Sunday night in Buffalo.
two more tweaks here, one for the Steelers and one for the Browns. I would love to see them play Renegade in Bills Stadium and have the Bills dancing on the field just like they did last year.
No, thank you. Nope. No, thank you.
You got to pick your moment, but that would be pretty great.
If you want to do that in the last seconds of a game when there's no chance that Pittsburgh can win, okay, but I'm not about to do that at the end of the third quarter. Nope. No thanks.
But you got to admit that was one of the greatest things that happened last year. That was hilarious when they were on the sideline dancing.
Oh yeah, I mean the crowd was going nuts because that's a staple at Heinz Field, and Buffalo's like, okay, we'll have some fun.
McDermott had him ready for that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did.
And one more point for the Browns fans who told everybody that this was a Super Bowl contending team because they had who was the guy who's got the ACL out right now, the receiver.
Beckham.
Yeah. Is this a better team with Beckham or without Beckham? How have they performed this year? I know he's a superstar, but how have they performed as a team? Better with Beckham or better without Beckham?
Well, I think
I'll argue
they're better
without Beckham.
They're better without Beckham. That doesn't mean that they're a better football team without Beckham, but it means they're playing better without Beckham. I mean,
but that makes you a better football team, not rating of your players.
Yeah, it's just they're better because now you don't have to walk on eggshells. Yeah, there's more continuity, and again, this is going to sound really bizarre, but in my mind, Hollywood Higgins fits better in Cleveland in that lineup than OBJ does.
It's all about relationship.
Yeah.
It's his relationship to Baker Mayfield, and that's why. And I'm not going to go off on this tangent too far, but that's a big reason why Corey Coleman's gone. When Mayfield came in, he wanted nothing to do with Coleman, and he loved Higgins. That was his buddy, and that's who he worked with. To the exclusion of Corey Coleman in a lot of ways.
Listen, that and the fact that Corey Coleman couldn't catch a cold if he was sitting on an ice block. He and Njoku are both garbage because they can't catch any passes.
Be nice about you to Njoku. He's going to end up as a Bill next year.
I hope and pray that you're wrong on that because I don't need another guy that can't catch a pass. We already have one in Knox who actually showed up yesterday, which was kind of a pleasant thing to see.
Come on, Ron. Be nice. Come on.
Yeah, Epinesa. I'll be nice about one person. Epinesa is impressing the hell out of me.
He was a hustler. Did you see him in coverage last night?
Yeah, that's what impressed me last night. I was like, wait a second, what the hell is he doing? And I'm like, oh my God, he dropped back into coverage. Now he's lost like 20 pounds, and it was on his own.
But you know, Jack Lambert played his first Pro Bowl at like 195 pounds at 6'4", wherever he was.
Yeah, and the Steelers told him, no, you got to put on about 20 or 30 more pounds, and he did. And then
I don't know what he ended up weighing, but I know he wasn't a big kid coming out of Kent, and he lost a lot of weight. And that first season for these kids is a grind.
Yeah, no, that was Epinesa's drill that he did it on his own, and I've been reading that the organization is going to probably ask him at the end of the year, hey, put the 20 pounds back on. We need you as a pass rusher, not as a guy that drops into coverage, although that looked pretty cool last night.
Yeah, what is he, 6'6", 6'5"?
Yeah, he's about 6'5".
He's got long arms. So.
Yeah, he's got long arms. I mean, he's like, if he were a basketball player, he'd have 6'9" reach with the long arms.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's probably enough irritating Browns and Steelers fans.
All right.
Talking Bills. So.
All right.
Okay, congratulations to the football kids and all the sports, by the way.
Indeed. Yeah, a lot of representation. Thanks, Tony, for the call. A lot of representation so far. D4, 5, 6, and 7, and we went through the D4 and 5 all-state teams. And congratulations to all of those kids. Good representation in D4 and D5. All right, we're going to take a time out. On the other end, we'll hear from Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle sports editor Doug Chapin. He's coming up next. Stick around. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
With Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. Running Point presented, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Hey, the winter meetings is going on right now. I know that that's something that we don't really are diving into, mainly because the winter meetings are essentially a not in a location. Normally, the winter meetings of Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball all get together and they're in one location. But this year, because of the epidemic going around, there is no winter meetings. In terms of having having everything in one location, in one city, at one hotel, it's all virtual. So you're really not hearing all that much. Keep in mind, this is probably about the time where Lindor is going to be traded. Not sure if it's going to be today, not sure if it's going to be tomorrow, but at some point this week, there is a very, very good chance that Francisco Lindor is traded at some point, either today, tomorrow, possibly Thursday. So we'll keep that in mind. Let's get to the phone lines, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, where we find Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle sports editor Doug Chapin. Doug, how are you today, sir?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing good. So yesterday, the OHSAA announced the Division 6 and Division 7 All-Ohio participants in football, and today they just announced D5 and D4. Doug, this area continues to have some great representation year in, year out in football, and some great honors yesterday with Bo Brungard from Springfield being the co-offensive player of the year in Division 6. Mr. Hollabaugh over at JFK, Cameron Hollabaugh getting defensive player of the year in Division 7. It's good representation.
Yes, it certainly was, and there should be more the rest of the week with the other divisions being announced as we go along. I think, 4 and 5 are today, and then I'm not sure if it's 1, 2, and 3 all on the same day or they're going to
Yeah,
split
two and three tomorrow, Division I on Thursday, and I believe Mr. Football will be announced on Thursday as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's and we usually do have a pretty good representation. It's what basically happens is the media in each area of the state gets together, and when they pick the all-district teams, then they sort of rank the kids that are first-team all-district, and they take them down to a state meeting where they compare them to the first-team all-district kids from the other districts, and come up with who's the first-team all-state, who's players of the year, et cetera. So, a lot of people put a lot of work into that. The coaches provide information, and then in our case, John Vargo does that for us. He goes to the meetings and gets our kids in the positions they should be as far as all district, and then it goes from there. So, and the kids, obviously, their ability, their success is what makes it, and so that's why we usually have a lot of kids that get some all-state honors.
One of the things that impressed me is the fact that there are a bunch of underclassmen, and again, we read about the D4 and D5, and read all of the local kids that are in first, second, third, and honorable mention, all Ohio, in their respective positions. A lot of underclassmen, which leads me to believe next year might even be an even bigger year talent-wise in this area. Which hopefully, fingers crossed, translates into a state championship from one of our teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually that's the case when you get the underclassmen getting the honors in their junior and/or sophomore years. Then the next year you should be better. And again, I love to see one of our teams win a state title, but that is not the be-all, end-all way to rank whether we have good football around here, whether they win it state or not. The fact that we had two teams in the state final was compelling in itself.
No question about that. And again, anytime you can get to the state semifinals in football. Now, maybe it's the state finals in football, but it's in the other sports because everyone is invited. Now, I mean, this year everyone got invited to play in a tournament game in football, but that normally doesn't happen. And next year it'll be the top 12 teams in each region, assuming that we kick COVID to the curb once and for all. But for all the other sports where everyone is invited, seems to me that the state semifinals are the benchmark, where if you can get a district and a regional championship, you have really done something truly amazing.
Yeah, that would even argue to get to the regional final, although we've talked about that a little bit too. But yes, you get out of the district, you stated that you're the best team in this area. And you get past the regional, then definitely. I mean, you're one of the top 4 remaining teams in the state, so certainly that's saying something.
Doug Chapin, the Tribune Chronicle and Vindicator sports editor, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We have him on every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Doug, as we look at the basketball season, it's amazing to me that through perhaps the worst of COVID, we're pretty much on track. I mean, there are some schools that have shut down, and I know Trumbull County has shut down, but Cheney and East have shut down. I know Southern down in Columbiana County has shut down, but everyone else pretty much is on pace and looking to have what is as close to normal as possible. And I think it's interesting and unbelievable, considering the fact that this is by far and away the worst the pandemic has been since it came into our state in March.
Yeah, and it's funny, if you're a athletic director at a Mahoney County school, when they made the announcement that the Trumbull County schools were not going to be playing for the foreseeable future, and you looked at your schedule, there are some ADs that might have had 3 or 4 of the next 5 games against Trumbull schools, so they had to start working on getting a replacement. And there are others who may have had no Trumbull County games on their schedule, so they're just going along as as expected. So part of that is just luck as to whether you had Trumbull County schools on your schedule, or Cheney or East too. If you had any opponents that shut down. So some ADs have been busting their butts the last week or so trying to get replacement games, and they're doing this in junior high too, and they're doing it with the JVs, the freshmen, whatever. And some have not had as much to do because they luckily didn't have any Trumbull schools on their roster. And the way all of our leagues are set up, except for the Eastern Ohio, the EOAC, all the rest of them have Trumbull schools in them. McDonald and Ridge are in the MVAC Scarlet. We got a bunch from the MVAC Gray. The All-America Conference has Harding Highland. And the Northeast 8 has, 4 of them. So it's going to affect everyone's schedule at some point until everybody's back to playing. But yes, the ADs are doing a great job keeping things going with schedule changes, et cetera. And, we'll see how, hopefully, we can get through the worst part of it here and come out on the other side and get a season in.
Doug, is the Trumbull County Health Board scheduled to meet on Tuesday, December the 22nd? And if so, are they going to allow the basketball and winter sports to start practicing that week so they can hit the ground running on January the 4th when everyone comes back from winter break?
I do not know that, what they're going to do. I think that was the day they were going to meet, the 22nd. But I don't know what they're going to decide or what they're going to, the numbers may change drastically between now and then, or they may, keep getting worse. Who knows? I'm assuming that's what will guide their decision, what the numbers are like. Whether if cases are continue to go up and increase, then it's likely they won't be going back. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Doug Chapin, Tribune Chronicle and Vindicator sports editor, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And so many things have changed in the last 24 hours with Youngstown State University. They were supposed to have played an NAIA college out of Virginia. That has been postponed. So they quickly worked and found Point Park. Now, that is an NAIA school out of Pittsburgh. And they're going to be coming into Beagley on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And apparently Point Park has already played Robert Morris, and they've already played Kent State, losing to both of these teams. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Youngstown State is going to get Canisius on the schedule, whether they have to play up in Buffalo or whether Canisius comes to Beagley remains to be seen. But it's not just high school ball that's on the fly. Literally, YSU is flying by the seat of their pants as well.
Oh, sure. I mean, if you look at all those college preseason tournaments that were supposed to be played, they've changed, sites, they've changed locations, they've changed matchups, all that kind of stuff. Just was it Sunday or Saturday that Gonzaga and Baylor were supposed to play, and they had to cancel that one. And that was going to be a 1 versus 2. So, yeah, I mean, everybody's in this. We're seeing it in the NFL. We're seeing it in college football. We're seeing it everywhere. It is. If you, whether you think it's the wrong or right thing to do to continue to try to play sports during this pandemic, the effort that the school administrators, both high school, college, all that, and schedulers have put in has been, I don't know if heroic is too big a word, but they've really busted their butts to try to get games in. I mean, if the idea is the games, the athletics, the competition takes our mind off of the what's going on in the pandemic and how bad that is for a few hours. It's sort of a positive. It's a little bit like getting our life back to normal having these games. But the reality is a lot of people keep getting sick, and it makes it hard to play these games. And it's probably at some point going to make us question whether we should even be doing that during a pandemic. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully things get better.
Well, Saturday is supposed to be a rather large game down in Columbus with Ohio State and Michigan. And, of course, Michigan last week, they weren't able to play against Maryland. This is arguably the best rivalry, at least in the Midwest. You can argue it's the best rivalry in all of college football. But that's even not a guarantee. And I know a lot of Buckeye fans will smirk and say, well, Michigan doesn't want any part of us to begin with. But, who knows if that game even goes without a hitch. I hope it does, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Michigan-Ohio State game couldn't be played this year.
Sure. They missed last week, so there's certainly a chance they would miss again this week. The one thing Ohio State fans have been worried sick about Michigan not playing on purpose so that Ohio State won't get that sixth Big Ten game in, because the conference put in a requirement that you had to play a certain percentage of games, and it turns out to be 6 is going to be the number, 6 games to play in the Big Ten championship. Well, I would argue that even if Ohio State doesn't play that 6th game and doesn't play in the Big Ten championship, I don't want to say bet, but wouldn't be surprise me if the College Football Playoff Committee still chose them as the number 4 team in the playoff. So I think they can still make the College Football Playoff without playing the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're going to bend the rules and just say, okay, if you don't play Michigan, well, we're going to let you play in the Big Ten championship game anyway, even with 5 games, and they'll pound Northwestern. And now that Cincinnati and Tulsa, that game has been postponed because of COVID, and Tulsa was apparently a top 25 program. Cincinnati doesn't have a shot now unless something were to happen where Ohio State were to lose, which I can't imagine Ohio State losing to Michigan if they were to play that game, or to Northwestern for that matter. It would appear that your Final Four is going to be, in no particular order, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Ohio State.
What if Notre Dame blows Clemson out?
Well, that's a great thing. I mean, if that happens, I would think a 2-loss Clemson team's got to hit the road, and then who do you replace them with? Or do you Texas A&M had their game canceled this week. So and what happens if Florida beats Alabama? If Florida beats Alabama, now all of a sudden you got to put Florida into this because they only have 1 loss. You got to keep Alabama in it because they would only have 1 loss. I mean, it's an interesting scenario that's going on right now. But if all things are equal and Clemson beats Notre Dame, but it's a competitive game, Notre Dame's going to be in the top 4. If Alabama knocks off Florida, well, then they're kicked out. Ohio State wins out, then they'll be in the top 4. But you're right. I mean, a lot of chaos could happen. I mean, what happens if Notre Dame blows out Clemson? What happens if Florida beats Alabama?
Yeah, I can. First of all, I wanted to say I'm pretty certain Cincinnati and Tulsa are still going to play in the AAC championship game on the 19th. They're not. Their game this weekend has been postponed, but they're scheduled to play. They've won the 2 divisions.
Yeah, that's true. You are correct. Yeah, you are correct.
Cincinnati still has that going for them. I can remember. I don't remember what year it was, 2005-ish, somewhere in there, where it was the year I think where Ohio State and LSU ended up playing in the championship game, and for Ohio State, they were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 things had to happen in the last 2 weekends for them to make it to be 1 or 2. Because at the time in the, what do they call that, the BCS?
Oh, yeah, the BCS.
Yeah. It was 1 versus 2. So 4 or 5 things had to happen. And I didn't go around telling everybody, oh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But I sort of had in my mind, they were all possible. It wasn't like, Hiram beating Ohio State or something like that, but they were all possible, outcomes, and they all happened. One happened, then the next one happened, then the next one happened, and then the next week they'd have 2 more things happen, and they both did, and Ohio State got in. So I have never since then looked at this, especially with 4 teams in it now. There are so many things that could happen that I'm going to wait till the last weekend and till they actually have their meeting and say who's going to be in it before I think I know who the four are.
It'll be interesting to say the least. Doug Chapin, the Tribune Chronicle and Vindicator sports editor, joining me as always on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Governor DeWine's curfew, statewide curfew of everyone in the house by 10 o'clock unless you're a worker, that is going to be over and done with, at least theoretically. The 3 weeks are up on Thursday. I bring this up because Monday night, the Cleveland Browns are going to be hosting the Baltimore Ravens, and apparently, as long as there is no statewide curfew that has been extended, and who knows if Governor DeWine extends it, but if there is no statewide curfew, you'll have 12,000 people at First Energy Stadium. I was thinking the last couple of days, such a resurgence by the Browns. The fact that they're 9-3, they played perhaps the best half of football I've seen the Browns play since way back in the day, prior to the original Cleveland Browns leaving and going to Baltimore. This was one of the best first halves I've ever seen, and then it dawned on me, the Cleveland Browns are having this incredible year, and yet no one can go see them play, and that is so Browns.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the way it is. Who were we thinking about that earlier in the year? I think the Indians there for a while when they were going well. I can remember talking to somebody about that. We thought that it was a shame that no one could see them play because they were doing so well. But yeah, I mean that's this year, and it seems to be their the way things have gone for them since '99. And by the way, Browns fans, do not say that the Browns left. All that happened was the franchise took a 3-year sabbatical and then resumed playing in 1999 with different players. And the players who were on the team in 90, was the last year,
95,
all coincidentally ended up on the new expansion Baltimore Ravens team. That is what happened.
All righty then.
They simply took a sabbatical.
What happened?
But yeah, that's Browns. I don't want to say Browns luck, but that just seems the way it goes. And yeah, that certainly was a very fine first half.
Doug, what happens if Governor DeWine extends this curfew on Thursday? Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, COVID isn't going away. I mean, the cases are still rising, and I mean, I don't think it's as bad as it was 3 weeks ago, but it's still pretty bad. What happens if he sits back and says, "Yeah, we're going to do this for another 3 weeks"? I mean, you've basically just said, without saying it, oh, by the way, that game on Monday night, you're not going to have anybody there.
Well, that's what it would be. I mean, he's not thinking about the Browns when he's making his decisions. He's thinking about the health and well-being of the Ohioans, and that if he thinks that's the best way to go, then that's what he'll do. I wasn't going to go anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But and the thing too with bars and going, I'm not going to a bar at this time to go watch a game. For one thing, I'd rather sit at home with my family and watch. But another thing is just that just seems to me you're just testing fate. Whether you believe in this thing or not, or you think it's a hoax, why take the chance? It just seems silly to me.
Doug Chapin, Tribune Chronicle and Vindicator sports editor, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. One thing that's going on right now that we're really not giving much thought about because it's not in a centralized location. Major League Baseball winter meetings are going on, albeit through the phone and through Zoom meetings and whatnot. This is normally the time of year where a lot of trades happen, and I'm trying to brace everyone who's an Indians fan on the possibility/probability that Francisco Lindor is going to be dealt either today, tomorrow, or Thursday. Somewhere in the next 3 days, there is a very real chance that Lindor gets traded.
Well, I would agree with you if they were still all together meeting at a certain location. I'm not aware that the trade restrictions, or are there any restrictions that happen that go into effect after the winter meetings, so they could still make the trade, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever. It's my understanding that the trades happen at that time simply because all those guys are together in a location. Now, I'm not even sure anymore. As a kid, when I first heard about the winter meetings, I just thought they got together just to get together and make trades. Then I realized that they conduct actual business. They have to have the GMs there for different things, and MLB and then the leagues themselves have to get things done, and they have the Rule 5 draft and the minor league draft. But I always thought that the trades happened at that time simply because all those GMs were down there at the same time. Now, I think it's going to happen soon, or at least by the start of spring training next year. But I don't know that it has to happen in the next 3 days.
No, it doesn't have to. I just think that it probably will happen,
okay.
even though that they're not in one particular location. They're still going by the letter of the law in terms of winter meetings. Everyone is doing their business on Zoom, and everyone is still, quote, getting together. It's just no one's hanging out. And look, I've been to about a half a dozen of them, if not more. It's a drunken fest at nighttime, and in the daytime, it's a bunch of people getting together, doing some different meetings, doing a lot of seminars and whatnot, and the trade show. Oh, geez, the trade show is phenomenal in and of itself. They got everyone that's anyone in the business of baseball trying to get everyone to jump on board for the new thing, whether it be mascot or a bunch of other things pertaining to baseball. And the trade show is incredible, but it's essentially get everyone in the same roof, and you'll have a crap load of trades. And I anticipate Lindor to be dealt for a lot of reasons, the biggest of which is the Indians have not shied away from saying they're going to cut as much payroll as humanly possible because of the fact that they didn't have any attendance last year and they lost a crap load of money.
All right. To whom do you think he is going to be traded?
I'm glad you asked this. I heard a name that came out of nowhere yesterday, and I don't know if it has much legs to it, but I've heard the Toronto Blue Jays are a team that is looking at Francisco Lindor, and the connection of the general manager / president of the club used to be very high on the food chain of the Indians, and he was basically there when Lindor was first drafted. So it kind of makes sense. And Toronto's got a crap load of kids in the farm system that it could make sense. I don't see Lindor being a Toronto Blue Jay. I think the Mets have a strong possibility. I think the Reds are a very strong possibility as well. But I mean, Toronto's a sleeper. But I don't see him as in a Blue Jay uniform. I can't see Lindor in a Blue Jay uniform. I don't know why.
I've heard him more than I have the others in recent as a realistic one, because I mean I've heard the Dodgers, but they've got a shortstop and a couple others. Cincinnati seems to make these trades, but I don't think they're willing to go multi-year for Lindor. They didn't do it for Bauer. They didn't do it for who else did we trade down there to them? It was part of a three-team deal. Yeah, it was Chu. Right. Chu was part of a three-team deal. Yeah, and he was in the same boat as Lindor, was going to be a free agent, and they didn't sign him. So I don't think the Reds have enough money to do that. So they would just have him for a year if they made the trade. But the other thing I was going to say was for the Indians, a very good sign that yes, they are cutting money and cutting it as much as they can, and bodes for them making the Lindor trade is that the guy who has had pretty close to the most saves the last 2 or 3 years in baseball, it was $10 million they had to for his option?
Yeah,
Brad
it was
Hand?
$10 million option, and not only did they not give him the $10 million, they flat out waived him in hopes that someone would pick him up, so they wouldn't have to owe Brad Hand the $1 million for not picking up the $10 million option.
Yeah, there's a sign that they are certainly in I don't want to say desperate measures, but they lost a lot of money, and they're going to have to hunker down and backpedal a little bit, and try to get back on the footing they were on a few years ago.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if their payroll is as low as $50 million on opening day next year.
And we shall see.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with that pitching staff and all of them being young and under control for a little bit, they've got a little bit of they're not going to sink like most teams doing that. What do they call that when you try to lose?
Tanking?
Yeah. They're not for a tanking team. They got a really good starting pitching staff.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the reason why they'll still be competitive, because they still have a really good pitching staff. It's weird, but if Lindor were to leave, and I know the Players Association doesn't want to hear of it, but a salary cap has to be in play, and Indians fans are never going to forgive the ownership if they trade Lindor away, and then it's going to be even more of a horrible relationship, and the fans won't even show up, which they haven't in the 7 years that he was here, or the 7-year great run that the Indians have been on. They haven't shown up anyway, so it's a weird relationship that's only going to get strained more if Lindor does leave.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, we all think that the Players Association is the only ones against a salary cap, but the big money teams are against it too. They don't.
Absolutely.
That's a big part of the problem is the owners themselves can't get together and decide what they want, how they want to do things, because that's competition. They're competing against each other, and the ones who have an advantage right now don't want to give up that advantage.
Yeah, the small market owners don't want a cap floor where you have to spend minimum X amount of money, because they don't want to do that, and the large market owners, they don't want a ceiling. Because, if we have a ceiling, then that means that I can't be more competitive against the smaller market teams. So it's an idea that it works in the NBA, it works in the NHL, it works in the NFL, but none of those unions are anywhere near the union strength-wise as Major League Baseball.
That's a big part of it, too, but I also think the discord among the owners of baseball is much worse than it is the other sports.
Agreed.
They have gotten together and said, we're doing it this way. We've got to do it this way. It is an interesting relationship Indians fans have with ownership, and no matter who it's been, they haven't had a big money owner in a long time, and probably never will, simply because of the market. But what amazes me is all these owners cry, we don't have money, this and that and the other. And then when they sell the franchise, they make billions and billions, gobs of money on it. It's like the way they talk when they're owning the team is, why would anybody ever want to own a team? And then when it's time to sell that team, there's tons of billionaires lining up to try to buy a team.
Yeah, and someone's going to pay $1 billion plus for the Indians if Dolan decides to sell the team. So you're looking at this and going, okay, he's moaning and groaning about the money, yet someone is willing to pay over $1 billion for this franchise. Something doesn't add up.
Yeah. I mean, they are, in my opinion, the owners. They're paying all these money out to all these players, but they wouldn't be in it if they weren't making gobs of money anyway. So when they cry, we don't have enough, I think it's more of a cry of we don't have as much as we really actually want over and above the enough, whatever the enough is.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, always a pleasure, and we'll catch up next week. All right, Doug?
Take care.
All righty. Thank you so very much. Breaking news, and I kind of thought this was going to happen. Ohio State, Michigan, done. Not happening. Canceled because of COVID. Damn. Just one of those things. Ohio State and Michigan canceled. That game will not be played because of COVID. The Buckeyes game against Michigan officially canceled. And, I mean, the conspiracy theories can now start in terms of why is Michigan doing this? Well, keep in mind, Michigan, they had their game canceled against Maryland last week because of COVID, although, 29.5-point underdog, 30 if you really want to be technical. Maybe that has something to do with it as well. I don't know. I'm not into the conspiracy theory business of that, but I just know that Ohio State, Michigan being canceled this year, this just puts the cherry on top of a shit Sunday that is 2020 as far as I'm concerned.
I call it karma, and here's why.
Okay, let me hear this.
Last night, of course, everybody watched the Steelers completely poop down their leg, right?
Yeah, which we'll talk about this because I have a bad feeling about Sunday because I think Pittsburgh's pissed off and ready to go, and it'll be a fun game with my Bills.
I bought into the trap. I bought into it thinking there's no way that the Steelers aren't going to beat Washington by 6. There's zero way. After the garbage that they showed, the performance they showed last week against the Ravens, and still won.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that losing will always teach you more than winning ever will. If you can get the win, that's great, but you go back and you treat it like a loss. Steelers didn't do that. Why I think it's karma is all these Browns fans who having a great season, 9-3, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. All I saw last night, text messages out the wazoo of, 11-1, we're going to win the division, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Is karma for all you Browns fans on Sunday that are Ohio State fans on Saturday. So enjoy it, because we know when you put those cards, and that stack of cards together, the house of cards that the Browns are living on right now, don't bark up the wrong tree. Because here's one thing I know about the NFL is no team other than the 72 Dolphins and the, 07 Patriots?
I think 07 or one of those
07
years.
Patriots?
Yeah, one of those years.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Nobody's perfect. Emmanuel's a Steeler fan. I'm sure you're going to concur. Emmanuel, what's up, brother?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat.
All right, let me hear it.
I am so glad that I am not a Buffalo Bills fan or a Buffalo Bills player. I am so glad because Tomlin is so fired up.
Oh, I know.
They are going to have the roughest, they're probably hitting you right now, the roughest week of practice they've ever had. He's going to beat them down so bad, they're going to be, and like Irvin Meyer says, hey, you got to let the dogs eat. You need to remember one thing. And it's real funny. You remember Tomlin tackled a guy on the field when he was going for a touchdown. You guys remember that?
I remember that. I remember that. Now, listen, Emmanuel, I'll be honest with you. When I saw the game, and I was just coming back from doing the Heartland Christian girls game against Camel, and I'm flipping back and forth because the Bills game hadn't started yet. And Kevin Burkhardt was doing the game, and Kev and I are just great friends, and he's the best, and that'll be the end of that. I'm watching this game, and I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't want the Steelers losing this game. This is not the plan. The plan was Pittsburgh kicks the crap out of Washington, and then they're dog-tired. They go into Buffalo. They lose to the Bills. And okay, now the Steelers lose last night, and I'm like, okay, Tomlin's going to get this team jacked up. This is going to be a physical game. This is going to be an unbelievably hard-hitting game, and now we're going to be looking at, okay, if Buffalo can beat Pittsburgh, as I told Tony, now my expectations are AFC Championship game or it's a complete waste of season. But now I'm concerned Pittsburgh is woken up and they're going to be angry and let's see what happens Sunday night.
They sleepwalked through the last 3 weeks.
They have. You're right.
Sleepwalked. And then let's be honest, at some point Steelers fans all knew that the lack of bye week
is going
to catch up to them, and it caught up to them.
Yep.
Luckily, they got the win over the Ravens.
Yes.
But if you're going to lose that, if you look at your schedule, and you're going to lose to anybody,
this is the game.
That was the game to lose.
Because if you were to play the playoffs right now, and obviously it's not happening, but let's move forward.
Number one
and
seed.
I'm going to sit back and say, begrudgingly, Pittsburgh goes 15-1. I'm not saying that they're going to beat Buffalo, but let's assume that that's the case. And Kansas City and Pittsburgh both win out. Pittsburgh gets the number one seed. Why, you ask? Well, they didn't play each other head-to-head, but the second tiebreaker is conference record. Kansas City lost to an AFC team. Pittsburgh did not. Pittsburgh is undefeated as long as they continue to, and then win out. They'll be undefeated against the AFC. Hence, they would be the number one seed.
Here's the other concern, and if I'm a Kansas City fan, Anthony, the guy that usually sits in this seat, I'm concerned because the last 3 games, they've only won by 15 points total. I think
they barely beat
Denver.
They're
They're not looking real good. I mean, all things considered, now they've got the media darling and Patrick Mahomes, and they've got Tyreek Hill, but the Steelers, and Emmanuel will attest to this, is they're banged up. I mean, they lost Spillane, and they lost another one last night, and Joe Hayden with a concussion, that they can't go too much further without those guys. I mean, you're already on your backup linebackers. However,
our backup, that's our third linebacker.
Exactly. So now you look at it, but all these guys are coming back, with the exception of Bud Dupree.
That's the guy that's going to hurt.
No, I don't think so, because Alex Highsmith was one of the top linebackers in the entire NCAA last year, and I think he proved last night why he was drafted by the Steelers, because he's a cover linebacker. Bud Dupree went, 6 years without freaking doing anything?
Yeah, but the light bulb finally went on the last couple of years.
No, he got watched on the other side, who the coach says sucks. But go ahead.
And Emmanuel's spot on. Is Bud Dupree is the beneficiary of people not running it at Watt, at TJ Watt. So yeah, he's going to look a little better. His stats are going to be a little higher because you're not running at 90. So when you look at that, Alex Highsmith is going to look like a Pro Bowler if he can stay healthy. And he's got the youth on his side. If he can, Bud Dupree, see you later. I mean, he was ordinary his entire stay in Pittsburgh, and he's getting paid to do so. And now, I think we talked about it, Ron. Dude's not going to get paid because the earliest he's going to come back is November of last year. This is a contract year for him.
Yeah, it sucked for him.
You think he's going to get tagged?
Probably not.
Don't think so.
No.
Especially
if Highsmith plays well.
We don't want to tag because the franchise tag at Pittsburgh never works out for us. Never.
No, it doesn't.
Never.
No. And on top of that is the franchise tag on a linebacker is unbelievable. I mean, you look at what Khalil Mack, how he's tagged at this point. You're doing, I think it's the mean. Is it the average?
Yeah.
Of the highest and low. I mean, Khalil Mack's salary is through the roof. Yep. So is Bud Dupree worth $20 million a year? Probably not.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to give him Aaron Donald money.
So
but then you look at the other side of the ball, right? I don't understand. I got a crazy idea, right? If you got a quarterback whose nickname is Big Ben, why don't we run a quarterback sneak?
Here's the answer to that, because that's all I saw. That's all I saw on social media was, Ben Roethlisberger can run a quarterback sneak. Let me ask you, Emmanuel, if is beating the Washington football team, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, worth losing your franchise quarterback who is on borrowed time?
Well, all I'm saying is this. The GOAT, whether you want to say it's Bart Starr or Tom Brady, they all ran a quarterback sneak for years.
True.
Correct.
And the quarterback sneak is different nowadays. You hike the ball and you find an opening and you just fall in there.
Well, Josh Allen does it.
Well, come on. I mean, I saw your thing about Josh Allen and John Elway. That's for another time.
That's accurate as hell.
No, it's not.
And
that's about as accurate as a Baker Mayfield pass with 2 receivers wide open in the end zone. That's about as accurate.
We'll go into the history books with that. It's accurate.
But wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute now. You guys are my psychiatrist, and I'm on the table right now. I'm on the couch right now because my Steelers lost, and we haven't been playing good for a month.
Hang on a second. I got a commercial here. Yokely Potesta, for all you crazy sports fans that need a psychiatry, Yokely Potesta with you. 24/7.
I think
Continue,
we need to be
sir.
on that couch too.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
I do today.
Pretty much. All right, continue, sir.
Okay, and I'm like, I'm sitting here looking. We don't even try to run the ball. We have nothing that's even close to a running game. We go 5 wide. We go 5 wide on 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line.
Why?
I haven't seen it.
And I haven't seen as many Steeler games, obviously. Why is Benny Snell not being used the way he should be used?
Because he's not Benny Snell from Kentucky. Like, everybody thinks that Benny Snell is going to be this. It's the same reason that
Connor?
No, Connor's an NFL. He's got an NFL body. He's got, NFL mind. Is he a little bit soft when it comes to injuries? Yes, he is. But he's got COVID now. There's nothing he can do about that.
Yeah.
But relatively healthy for the entire year. He got injured once. My thing is you want to talk about running the ball. When people look at losses over the last 8 years, there's one big miss that people are completely glazing over. And any time that Marquise Pouncey is out of the lineup, the Steelers are up against it. And that's their running game.
Yep.
That's their passing game. I mean, you're talking about one of the great centers of all time. And we've had a few of them. We had Dermontti Dawson. And I think that Pouncey is...
Webster.
No, Webster was a pretty
and
Webster. Good one, too. Sure.
But you look at
I'm an old guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, you look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It all starts with the guy that's snapping the ball to the quarterback. And the only reason that Ben Roethlisberger continues to come back to the Steelers, and he'll say it in any interview, is because it's a 53, and that's Pouncey. And
well, I don't know, because let me say this real quick.
Sure.
I don't know, because you got 5 great receivers under the age of 25. And if you look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you look at their record on win and losses when they throw the ball 45 times a game. You look at their record when they throw the ball 50 times a game. When they throw that ball 35 times or less, they win. When they throw that ball 40 times and more, they have a losing record.
Well, let's think about that for a minute. Let's think about that for a minute. So if you're throwing the ball 35 times a game, it means that you're probably on pace with the NFL average. If you're throwing the ball 50 times a game, it probably means you're behind. So those stats are a little bit slanted. You see what I mean?
Not really, because we're still 11-1, man. Come on.
No, I get it, but I get that. I understand that, but I also want to kind of go back on your definition of great receivers. Everybody points at Roethlisberger.
I said good receivers. I said good receivers.
Oh, I thought you said great. I apologize.
And they're under the age of 25. I think there's going to be some great receivers in that group. But Claypool, Juju, and those guys, those are some good receivers.
So I'll say this is I've always been an advocate of the quarterback makes the receiver, not the other way around. There's some elite receivers that, yes, they can do it with basically anybody that's throwing them the football. Randy Moss being one of them, Jerry Rice being another. I was under the impression that Antonio Brown was one of those guys. But then you realize, look at what Roethlisberger's done with these players in Pittsburgh, and look what they do anywhere else. Antonio Brown right now is a 3 to 4 depth receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He's going to return punts. But my question to you is this. When the last time we won a Super Bowl? Sure, you got all these godly, unbelievable records, right? When the last time we even been to a Super Bowl?
But you know as well as I do that the Steelers need, and most teams need, a great defense to back up an offense. And
listen. We're going to do it this year for the 4th straight year. Never happened. 4 straight years. Never happened in NFL history. We're going to lead the league in sacks. What we need is no team that I can remember, no team, even Kansas City, that has won a Super Bowl did not have no running game. Whether you do it out of the spread or whether you do it from the pro set. We have no running game. Kansas City has a running game. New England had a running game. You have to have a running game. And if we don't have a running game, that's our problem.
So
we haven't had a running game in 5 weeks.
Define New England's running game, because I think they're still trying to define it up in New England. Because I'm
not talking about this year. I'm talking about when they were winning, when they won a Super Bowl.
And I'm doing the same thing. Tell me who their key backs are that led them to.
They do it by committee. But one time they had LeGarrette Blount. Then they had that one guy named Clay, whatever his name was, and he got in trouble and they kicked him off the team.
Yeah.
They've always got somebody. See, the running game, you don't have to pick up a whole bunch of yardage. The Cleveland Browns has proved that. You have to keep running the ball because that keeps the offense. Somebody like Mahan keeps them on the sidelines, and you beat up on the offense, and it gives your defense a time to rest. You can't keep coming.
Who did the Packers have at running back when they beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl?
Oh, that guy was pretty good because he was good in fantasy football. What was his name?
Eddie Lacy.
Was it Eddie Lacy?
I got
to look.
Well, I can't remember because, but I'm asking.
They had a running game. They trust me. They had a running game. They didn't have a.
Early on in New England was Antoine Smith, who was a couple of years had 1,000 yards. He wasn't bad.
New England started with Dillon. Remember Dillon left Cincinnati and went there?
Yeah, and then
that's what started it.
The law firm that what was that kid's name? Green Wallace. What the hell was the kid's name from?
I'm just going to go out there and say this that I can appreciate the point of view, and I'm not going to knock you for it because the majority of the time you're right, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think you have a great defense, a good above-average defense, and a good quarterback wins you championships. It does.
Well, we're going to find out. Because, see, the bottom line is what we're talking about, what you say is true. This is not, my daddy's and when I was young, my Pittsburgh Steelers teams. We are a pass-happy team. But what I'm saying is, because I watched when that spread first came out a long time ago, I watched Trubisky when he was at Minner.
Uh-huh.
And they snapped the ball every 13 seconds. They were spread out everywhere, but they still ran the ball. You don't have to like pick up 100 yards, but you got to run that ball up in there 20, 25 times. You got to bring the safeties in a little bit, and you got to bring the linebackers in. How can you run a play action and you can't run the ball?
No, I'm with you, and you become one-dimensional. But
that's what we are.
But so I agree with you to some extent, but. Let's get Pouncey back in. Let's get Connor back in. Let's get some of those A-game guys.
Let me ask you: does Pouncey come back on Sunday?
Yeah.
Does he?
They just had a list of people that are probable to come back on Sunday.
That's good. I want to make sure. By the way, 2000 for the Packers, 2007 through 2009, Ryan Grant. 2010, Ryan Grant was out for the year. Brandon Jackson came in. 2011, Ryan Grant. Ced Benson. In 2012, Eddie Lacy, 2013 through 2015.
Ryan Grant was the guy.
Yeah.
Ryan Grant was the guy.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't think anybody's fitting him for a jacket in Canton right now. So my thing is, a good quarterback can make up for a lack of running back. Yeah, you're right though, Emmanuel. You got to be able to have a running back to at least keep them true. But to have Roethlisberger and have 5 wide. You have to respect each and every one of those receivers. And then you add Eric Ebron to that, who I think a lot of people are praising him. I think he's been probably one of the worst receivers on the entire Steelers roster right now because he drops everything other than a Colt.
I don't think we use McDonald enough. He's doing a great job of blocking, but he's a good runner once he catches the ball.
Yeah, he is. And he's a powerful runner. He's like having a running back that's 6'4" and 280. So, I mean, listen, this trickery BS that they tried last night with getting McFarland out to the far side with 4th and 1. Listen, and I'm saying this as a guy that's 5'4.5". If you ever put a guy my size in a situation to win an NFL football game, it's probably not going to work out very well for you. Okay, and I don't care where Ben puts that ball. It's you got a guy that's taller than him guarding him, and then when you're trying to throw it to your third string lineman in the end zone and he trips over his own fat feet, like you've got problems. You got a problem.
You got a problem if you got an offensive line that can't get you 1 yard. I don't care who you are.
No, I agree with
that. Let me ask you one more question because I've been arguing all morning with our buddy. There's a rumor that Kyle was going to the New York Jets. What do you think about that?
I heard that. I don't think it'll happen. I think he's making a lot of money at CBS right now, and I think it's going to take a ton of guaranteed money to pull him out because he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, and you got to pay him like one. And what does he have to prove at this point? Like, he's not going in.
He's too comfortable now. There's no way he gets out of CBS.
I just don't like the amount of time and effort that it takes to be an NFL coach in this day and age. Not that it didn't before, But in this day and age, it's a 22-hour job a day. I mean,
Two things. He's not as old as what y'all think he is. He's only 63 years old, and his daughter's going to graduate school. And I'll tell you one thing: it's hard to turn down a 5-year, $36 million guaranteed contract. And right now he can take. How worse can they be? You know, they should be 0-16. But if he was the coach for the Jets and a defensive coordinator called that play for defense to lose that game, Cowher would have fired him right there on the spot.
Here's the conspiracy theory. Here's the conspiracy theory for me is It's Williams, right?
Greg Williams.
He wanted out of New York, and he wasn't so sure that they weren't going to keep him.
Yeah.
So I think he wanted out. I think he called that blitz, and they showed it on the NFL Network. That's his tendency. That's what he does, and sometimes getting cute and backing off. Let's just face it. The Jets didn't get to 0-11 or whatever the hell they are, 0-12, by being good. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a bad football team. So when you blitz, you dial it up like that. They didn't have – the corner had a terrible angle to the football, number one. And
he should have tackled the receiver.
Worst case scenario – yeah, you're exactly right. Because worst case scenario is what? You get a penalty and you play another down.
They get one more play, yeah.
So
Greg Williams is the kind of person that would do what happened on Sunday. He's the kind of person that would have done that to say,
"Get me
the hell out of here," because he didn't want to be there.
He does the blitzes all the time. I mean, they showed 4 different.
Yeah, but from what you were saying, maybe he wanted out.
He wants out.
He was the kind of guy that would do something like that.
But he's old school. He's not going to quit, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't understand how come he has a job, because he might go 0-16 for 2 different doggone teams. He did it with the Browns.
Well, was he 0-16 with the Browns?
He was the defensive coordinator,
and yet they still were going to bring him. He was still in the talk to be the head coach.
When Hugh got fired, they actually played well under Greg Williams. I'm just saying they actually played well under him.
So what's playing well if they went 0-16?
Well, no, I mean when they fired Hugh,
yeah,
they went. What did they go 5-3 under him with the 6-10 year?
I think he's got. What'd be really funny is they fire Gase and they bring Williams back in to be the head coach.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Be well.
One more last thing.
Yeah.
One more last thing. Whatever you do not kick Ohio State's helmet on the field, because all hell will break loose. That happened with the Michigan State game. That was unbelievable.
They're toast, man.
Yeah.
Ohio State ain't playing this week. Did you hear that yet?
Yeah, Ohio State's game against Michigan was canceled already, Emmanuel. So they're not playing this week.
I don't want to play next week neither.
Well,
they might not.
They're going to play next week. I'll make that prediction right now. They're going to play.
Well, is it going to be Wisconsin? Is it going to be Wisconsin?
No, it'll be Northwestern. It'll be Northwestern. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Be well, brother.
You guys take it easy, man.
That's.
I don't. Here's what. Getting back to the kind of a long way back to where we started.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still coming around the bend
here.
Yeah, okay.
Why do Browns fans get so amped up, almost more amped up, when the Steelers lose?
I don't get that.
I don't understand.
I mean, as a Bills fan, when the Patriots were doing their thing, I could care less what. When Brady and those guys were doing whatever they were doing, who cares? Man, I'm just more concentrated on making sure that our team's going to be good. Let me give you a great example. Miami, who's year in, year out, historically, Miami has always been Buffalo's main rival with New England. Okay, Miami's playing Kansas City this week. Miami's playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's in Miami. I don't care what happens in that game.
Right.
I don't care. Look, if Kansas City beats Miami, wonderful. If Miami beats Kansas City, okay, I don't care. I'm more concerned about now what Pittsburgh and Buffalo are going to be doing to each other on Sunday night, and hopefully the Bills win the ball game. Now, obviously, if Miami loses to Kansas City, Buffalo beats Pittsburgh. Buffalo wins the division if they beat Denver, and they can wrap up the division before Christmas, and that'd be a great Christmas gift under the circumstances. But I don't care what Miami does. If New England, and by the way, they've been playing great football, if New England starts winning all kinds of games and they're on a 7-game winning streak going against the Bills when they play them in Foxborough, I don't care what New England's doing. I don't understand why the Browns fans, and not all of them, but some Browns fans are look and see what the Steelers. Really?
Well, it's just
take care of your house first. Enjoy 9-3.
That's what I'm saying.
Why aren't you guys enjoying 9-3?
Because they're so worried about what everybody else is doing. They're so worried about what the Steelers are doing. Like this is 2020. We talked about it. It's a weird year. The year that the Browns have their most successful year in 10 years or whatever it is.
And nobody can go there to enjoy it.
Yeah, and not only that, but the Steelers are 11-0 and now at 11-1.
Yeah.
But my thing last night was it was almost like Cleveland won the game. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, time out. Last time I checked, we played a very bad Washington football team. When we played this 9-3 Cleveland team, we wiped the floor with them 38-7.
Well, they weren't 9-3 back then, but that'll be the excuse.
But you know what
I know what you're saying.
And here's my thing. You're playing good football now. Enjoy it because the other shoe's going to drop at some point. You're not going to play this good of football for the next 7 weeks.
They're not built for that.
They're not.
Because their defense is not
just
built
like
for
Just like
for
when,
this.
when you look at the Steeler team, they're not going to play this bad of football for the next 7 weeks.
That's why I wanted them to win.
You just keep
Sunday,
but you
yesterday
at what 50? What are you 56? 57?
56.
56 years
Don't
young.
Don't age me more.
56 years young. You sit there and you go button lip because you know that this Sunday, if the Bills happen to lose, you propped up the Steelers as the team they are. That they didn't make mistakes 11 times in a row to win.
Exactly.
But the Browns fans are so looking around and just so excited about their world right now that they can't even focus on what is occurring at their own table. Like,
enjoy that.
I love that the Browns fans are excited. I love that we don't have to sit there like big brother at the table looking at little brother like, you going to show up today or what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you beat them up and it doesn't matter. Like, to all the points is, but there's also the double-edged Browns fan that drives me, this one through the roof. It drives me insane. Like, it's the bane of my existence is the double-edged Browns fan because you have the guy that celebrates the wins, but when they lose, it's, we're the Browns. I mean, everybody should be able to beat up. Shut up. Like,
yeah, that needs to go out the door now.
Which one are you?
And it should be out the door now because here's the thing, and I said this. When did they go 0-16? In 2017. Yeah, it's been that long. Oof. 2018, I sat back and said, there is a very good chance the Cleveland Browns can win at least 6 games in 2018. They may take a step back because of the 2019 schedule. I even said that. I even remember saying it. First 7 games of the year, I even remember saying it when I was over wherever. And I said, look, first 7 games of the year, if the Browns don't play well, and I think they're going to be 3-4, and I actually gave them a win because they wound up 2-5. I said, shit's going to go sideways. They're going to probably take a step back. But 2020, if they play all their cards right, 2020, double-digit wins, playoffs, and then you can go from there. Here we are, 2020. You're about to get double digits in wins because you're not going to lose to the New York Jets. That's not going to happen.
Well,
it just isn't. It's not going to happen.
We also didn't think that the Raiders game would be that close.
Well, that's true, but the Raiders they have a pulse unlike the Jets. They're not going to lose to the Jets. They might lose to the Ravens Monday night. They actually might lose to the Giants because the Giants are
playing good ball,
playing really good ball, and they might lose to the Steelers again, depending on what happens. But
heaven forbid they do that.
But you're going to get your double digits and wins, and there's a pretty good chance that you're going to get your playoffs. But this is a 1-year process. See, here's where I am with a Bills fan. The Bills are 1 year ahead of Cleveland right now. Buffalo's not even – I'm not even concerned with a Super Bowl appearance by the Bills because, no. Now, if Buffalo beats Pittsburgh on Sunday, especially if Pouncey's healthy and everyone is where they are, okay, now I'm going to sit back and say AFC Championship appearance or I'm pissed for the rest of the year. My level goes from here to here if Buffalo beats Pittsburgh. But if Pittsburgh beats Buffalo, I'm going to sit back and say the same thing. We'll win our division. Maybe we win one playoff game. We get destroyed in a divisional playoff game. Go back next year, work on the defense and the offense and fill the holes and whatnot, and you're one step closer to where you should be. Browns fans, you're not where you think you are right now. Okay, you're 9-3, and it's a wonderful feeling. And I mentioned this on social media. if you're new to the fan base from the Browns, you're getting a small taste right now of what it was like as a Browns fan in the 1980s. You're getting a very small taste of it. And Monday night, God, I hope that Governor DeWine is not going to force the stadium to be empty on Monday night, because it's going to be that much more of a mid-1980s great feeling. Oh my God, the Ravens are in town. A knockdown, drag-out, ass-kicking AFC North showdown. The Browns are playing good ball. The Ravens are going to get better because they're getting healthier. And this is just going to be a great game. And then a few weeks down the road, assuming the Steelers haven't wrapped anything up as far as home field advantage goes, that's going to be an even bigger game, because for the first time in a long time, the Steelers and the Browns are back playing at a high level for the first time in a long time, and it makes that rivalry that much better. And you're going to get an even bigger taste of what the 80s feels like. But I am here to tell you right now, your product is not finished, because your defense sucks, and you'll go to the playoffs, but you won't go very far. You'll probably get bounced in the first round, and that's okay. You'll go back next year. You'll work on the defense. Hopefully people get healthier. Ben gets another year older. The division gets a little bit more tighter. Everyone gets a little bit happier, and then you okay. But don't skip any steps here.
See, I disagree, because I think you can go from a 9-3 team right now to a 3-9 team very quickly.
If you screw up, absolutely.
So we had the conversation yesterday, and I apologize if we're keeping a caller off the line, but we had the conversation yesterday on our show, is who can the Browns lose and still be effective? And not much. That is my answer.
Chubb, don't have any depth.
If you lose Chubb, your season's
you're screwed.
But the answer to that was, well, we have Kareem Hunt. You saw what the product was.
Kareem Hunt can't even tie Nick Chubb's shoes. So there's a big difference between the two.
Yes, I agree with that, but I think that Kareem Hunt is above average running back in the NFL.
Well, yes, but
I would die for Kareem Hunt right now on the Steelers.
If you're a Steeler fan, absolutely. As a Bills fan, I'd love to have him.
But you quickly realize that Baker Mayfield, over the course of, Tuesday? Over the course of the last 3 days, his jersey sales are up 53%. I wonder why.
Probably because he has performed pretty damn well the last 5 weeks.
4 touchdowns in one half.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the second half all you want, but I mean, if you were on social media after the first half of that football game.
That was the best first half of football I've seen the Browns play in 20-plus years.
Yep, I'm with you. But
unbelievable.
But then you saw the second half of that football game.
Yeah.
And people don't – it's going to get buried under a stack of papers. Mayfield fumbled that football because he was being, in my opinion, and I'm not a football coach or a football analyst, but he's being selfish, right? Just go down. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, the best of the best. Well, if you're there, you got one job. Hold on and keep the safety of that football. That's your quarterback.
But here's the other problem that I had with it, and again, Stefanski is, in my mind, if he's not coach of the year now, he's pretty much summed it up to be coach of the year. But, and I mentioned this, and I don't use this from a religious standpoint, conservatism in sports is the Antichrist.
Oh,
it just is. And I don't mean it from a religious standpoint. I mean it from, if you're going to have a huge lead, keep doing what you're doing. Into the third quarter, keep doing what you're doing. Fourth quarter comes around,
they couldn't do what they were doing.
Pull the plug.
They couldn't do what they were doing. They couldn't keep putting the ball in the air, because if the ball falls to the ground without a receiver catching it, the clock stops. You want to keep the ball on the. Any coach is going to tell you that.
No, I get it, but
if you're up by 30, the ball's going on the ground, because you want that clock to be on your side. I understand what you're saying from being conservative, especially from defense. Prevent, the only thing it ever does is prevent you from winning games.
Yeah.
But that's the Browns' defense. That's not conservative. Right?
No, I get that. But
and
you
Tennessee,
keep your foot on the gas
Tennessee
pedal.
as well, they've done this a time or two. And they did it against the Steelers. And the Steelers, thank God, were able to get that a missed field goal.
I remember that.
I don't remember it because it wasn't on our local broadcasting company, because the Browns game was on.
Well, if you had DirecTV, you would have seen it.
Well, I have YouTube TV, and I don't like being absolutely scalped for my dollars. But I will say this is like, again, Browns fans, I'm happy the Browns are back and are relevant. I don't want to hear you when the Steelers lose. I mean, listen, They're 11-1. They're not 1-11. If they're 1-11, you can poke fun and say, "Oh, they're 11-1," and they wiped the floor with the same Browns team just weeks ago, 38-7. How fun was that for Browns fans? How fun was that? Because I don't remember hearing a whole lot, but when Washington beats the Steelers, all of a sudden there's all these Washington fans that you could actually fill a stadium and they wouldn't have to change their name to the Washington football team.
This is the equivalent, and I'm going to pile on what you're saying. It's the equivalent of a person that got their ass kicked watching another person kick the ass of the person that beat their ass and getting a kick out of that. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, that's kind of enjoyable, except
keep it on the inside.
Where were you when you were actually going up against this person, and why weren't you doing this? What this person is doing to the guy that kicked your ass, why weren't you doing this to this person? Oh, that's right, you couldn't do it.
And here's the thing, Ron, that people aren't seeing. So there's a thing called short-sightedness. Whoop, lost my head. I don't need it anymore. There's a thing called short-sightedness that typically, and I'm going to point out the majority of Browns fans, Cleveland fans in general have, is this short-sightedness of, I'm going to get mine, and then that's it. Like when you, in the WWE, when somebody wins and then retires as champion.
Yeah.
Okay. This might break a few hearts. WWE is drawn up. Like, they don't have to put Hulk Hogan against Daniel Bryan. This is...
Wait
yeah.
a second. Are you telling me that...
I am. They don't have to. They can protect their talent.
Yeah.
You know who's not protected? And as rigged as I think the lines are in sports betting for the NFL... Guess what? Browns, you make the playoffs, and the Steelers, let's say they get that first-round bye, that elusive first-round bye, you win that first-round playoff game, guess who you're probably going to see?
Unless it's a lower team, you're probably going to see the Steelers.
And guess what? There is nothing that would make me, and I took my screenshots, I filled up my iPhone last night with screenshots of all these Cleveland fans.
Oh, boy.
Going after us after the Washington. So guess what? I'm going to put them right back out there, and just with a simple caption of, how you feeling now? And I'll eat it. I'll eat all the crow if the Browns beat the Steelers in week 17, and then if 2 weeks after that.
This is why I don't say anything about the Patriots. I don't say anything about the Dolphins. I've never said anything about Tom Brady other than the fact that he's not the greatest quarterback of all time, which can be an argument for anybody, anytime, any place. But I have never talked crap at the expense of my Bills, because it just doesn't make any sense. It's just
stay in your lane.
My team is doing whatever my team is doing, and I'm having a good time enjoying my team win. And if someone happens to come up and bite us in the ass, okay, then so be it. And if it happens to be on Sunday, then okay, so be it. But I will tell you right now, if the Bills beat the Steelers on Sunday, my expectation levels have just gone up tremendously.
And that's where I guess I'm spoiled. As a Steeler fan, certainly not as a Pirate fan, but as a Steeler fan, our expectations always AFC Championship or Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the reality is I get to taste it a little bit with the Buccos. And
3-year run.
Man, if we can get in there, we can do some damage. And then we always end up getting the best pitcher in baseball.
3-year run.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Those were great
fun.
days.
I'm still waiting to see whether Josh Bell is traded out of Pittsburgh. That's my assignment for today, tomorrow, and the day after. I keep hearing wonderful whispers about that too, and I'm like, can't do it. The market, you can't trade Bell right now. His market value sucks. Because he had a god-awful year this year.
Oh, you're talking about a normal team that does things because they have baseball reasons in mind. Oh, Imagine that. Imagine having an owner that actually understands the game of baseball who has the team's best interest in mind.
I'd kind of like to understand that, but I'm an Indians fan, so.
Are you crying about being an Indians fan?
No, God, no.
I was going to say.
Because over the last 7 years, I've had a great time watching this team play.
Since '94, the team's been relevant.
It's been fun.
You've always been in the talk.
It's been fun.
The best thing that happened in '94 to the Pirates was what? the All-Star game?
I think that was it. You still had a crappy stadium, and that was it.
I just like
other than PNC and the 3-year run.
Like the majority.
That's it.
That's where I'm so confused about this whole talking trash. Like, we know, as a Pirate fan, what a Browns fan is going through. We know, okay?
If not more so.
We know. We understand it.
Yeah.
Why? That would be like us making fun of the Boston Red Sox after we beat them, after we beat the Yankees
or the St. Louis Cardinals, because we'll keep it in the division in a rivalry.
Like if the Cardinals lost to let's say who doesn't matter.
Atlanta, Los Angeles, who cares?
And then Pittsburgh in a 3-game series took one of 3 games against that team that happened to lose. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You didn't beat them.
Yeah.
And you sure as hell, whenever you play head-to-head, you lose 12-1.
Yeah.
Like, that's the same exact thing.
It's the same mentality. It's crazy.
So the long and short of it, Ohio State fans, you can be mad at all the damn Browns fans for this game being canceled. Not COVID, Browns.
Although there are some Steeler fans that happen to be Buckeye fans, which
I'm one of them.
I find peculiar.
I'm one of them, but Lou, I separate myself from those fans because it's almost like they have to double down on the Buckeyes because the Browns were so bad. You know what I mean?
Oh, those are the people that drive me nuts.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Those are the people that drive me nuts.
And I also have a question for any Ohio State fan, like diehard Ohio State fan. Diehard is, I get it that we're from Ohio. You cheer for the state. But why is it like I went to Westminster? I'll always cheer for the Westminster Titans because I got $90,000 invested in Westminster College. But I don't have that invested in Ohio State because I didn't go to Ohio State.
You didn't go to Ohio State.
Can you explain that to me? The logic of that, like, diehard? Is it just because it's the brand? Because, like, usually you have your chance to go to Ohio State and then attend Ohio State and be part of the culture at Ohio State, and you chose to go to Ohio, or you chose to go somewhere else. Like, if I went to YSU, and I love YSU, if I went to YSU...
I'm a Penguin for life.
I'm a Penguin for life.
That's it.
Like, they didn't have what I wanted to go for broadcasting. They didn't have the track that I wanted, so I chose a different route.
Yeah. Now they do,
But now they do.
Yeah, now they do.
But the reality is, I just don't understand these, like, people, okay, they went to Akron, or they went to Kent, but they are huge Ohio State fans. I'm like, wait a minute.
You spent all of your money at Akron or Kent
We'll
or
never
OU
understand.
or Toledo or Bowling Green. Why you should be where
We'll never
where
understand
college.
it.
Now I didn't graduate from a college, so I technically don't have a. And Notre Dame to me is more Catholic than it is anything else.
Right.
And Notre Dame's cool. And then, unfortunately,
They
I was
are?
never too smart to get into Notre Dame. So Notre Dame is, to me,
Cool.
it's the institution.
Yeah, it's Rudy. It's Rudy. That's it.
Well, Rudy's an asshole. I
Whoa.
mean, he was an asshole.
Whoa.
I met him in person. He was oh God, what a D-bag he was. Neither here nor there. But Notre Dame is just special. You go out to the campus and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. But Notre Dame is also for smart people, and
I missed something.
I'm not smart. So
my wife has a cousin that went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We went to Notre Dame. We didn't like do the whole tour or anything.
Yeah.
Went to Notre Dame, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then that was it. Like there was no like.
Did you go to the Grotto?
I don't know where the hell. I mean, we were on our way to somewhere, and we were on our way to Chicago.
Yeah.
And we ended up there, and we just happened to pass it, and I was like, well, hey, let's do it.
This is a gorgeous campus.
Like it's nice. It's just, I'll be honest, like it's a lot bit bigger than Westminster, but it was the same feel. I'm like, okay, there's a church, and okay, there's a football stadium that's a lot bigger than, but like, it didn't do anything for me. It wasn't like you.
It wasn't a religious experience.
No, exactly. Like it wasn't like I stepped there and I was like, okay, get me the holy water.
Yeah.
Pour.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, Notre Dame's a special place. It's a cool place. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's I didn't grow up Catholic. I'm Catholic now. It's a cool place. It is. It's now. Having said that, does that have anything to do with the fact that I love Notre Dame? No. I mean, I'm old, I grew up watching Lindsey Nelson do Notre Dame highlights
there
back
again,
in the day.
You didn't grow up with 178 channels at your fingertips. You grew up with NBC, CBS, and ABC.
And that's it. And PBS to watch Sesame Street.
And guess what was on every week was Notre Dame.
Well, if Notre Dame wasn't on, the highlights were always on at 12 noon when I hightailed it home and sat on the chair and watched TV for 8 straight hours, pissing my parents off.
Right.
So you watch the Notre Dame highlights, and then you watch the 1 o'clock game, the 4 o'clock game, and whatever.
But that's the difference between now and then. Of
course.
Like, my father was a Steelers and Browns fan. How you do that, I don't know.
You can't do that.
But let me tell you why. Is because we had access, because here in East Palestine for the longest time we had KDKA and Pittsburgh stations.
Yes.
We didn't have access to Youngstown television on top of a hill. I swear to God, on top of a hill over the air.
Okay.
It was Pittsburgh stations, and that was it. When we got satellite, when I was in 7th grade, we had access to Cleveland and Youngstown stations, not Pittsburgh anymore. So I grew up a Pirates fan, grew up a Steelers fan, grew up. Okay, 97 is when I kind of switched affiliations because I could no longer watch the Pirates. I stayed Steelers fans because you could still watch Steelers on CBS.
On CBS.
Or NBC at that time. But now it's, for me, for baseball, I couldn't watch the Pirates anymore, so I'm not going to, why am I going to root for them? I could watch the Indians on Sports Time Ohio.
Yep.
So that's when I fell in love with the Indians and the badass Albert Bell, who I still think, to this day, is my favorite baseball player ever, other than Barry Bonds. But you sit there and you go...
Another a-hole, but he was a cool a-hole.
Well,
I got a great story. Mark Franken, a friend of ours.
Of course.
All right. Mark Franken and I were at the old stadium. This is the day Joey Bell drilled the guy in the chest with a baseball.
Albert Bell.
So
we know how this is going to go.
So Mark and I are bringing a cooler into the stadium. We're sitting about 2 sections over from where Bell nailed the guy. So we're bringing this cooler into the concourse. Albert Bell is behind us. No idea what he's doing. He's in full uniform. He looks over at us, menacing look on his face, puts a smile on his face, and he says, you need any help with that cooler? I'm looking at Mark. Mark's looking at me, and I'm like, don't you have a game to get ready for? He goes, oh, yeah. He says, no problem. He says, but you need any help with the cooler? I said, no, we got it. Good luck with the game today.
Yeah.
He goes, no problem. And I looked over, and I'm like, what the hell was that about? He's like, I don't know. He says, but that was pretty cool. Didn't ask for an autograph or anything. It was one of those things. Later that day, something turned on where the guy, and by the way, the guy deserved to get the ball thrown at him because he was calling him every name under the book. And finally, he went too far. Bell picked up a ball, drilled him in the chest, the whole 9 yards. Mark and I were looking at each other going, I think he wanted alcohol in our cooler. And 2 days later, Albert Bell said that he was an alcoholic and he needed help. And I'm like, that explains why he was so happy when he saw this nice cooler that Mark and I, not that we had alcohol in our cooler. We might have, but that explained it.
They weren't exactly cherry Cokes.
And then when I started covering the Indians in the mid '90s, Bell was surly. He was a badass.
Listen, I watched, and I don't know if you have access to this, but if you ever have a chance to watch Peyton's Place on ESPN Plus,
yeah,
it's the best program I've ever watched. Like, just to watch Peyton Manning talk about football, is like watching a kid open Christmas presents on Christmas morning.
It's pretty cool with some of the stuff that he's done. I saw the Green Bay one where they went into Lombardi's house, which really wasn't all that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my big thing is there was a one with Marshawn Lynch last night that I watched.
Okay.
I think it's episode 1 of the new season. And Marshawn Lynch is notorious for not talking to the media, not doing anything like that. And he kind of asked him, he said, what is it? So Marshawn Lynch, before he goes on into a game, takes a shot and a half of Hennessy. And then after the game, he was told, like, early on in his career, he abided to talk to the media, had no problem at Cal, maybe even in Buffalo. He talked to these media, but he quickly realized that the same people that were asking him questions and talking about him when he was having big games are the same people that are talking trash and saying, oh, you didn't do anything, and throwing garbage at him when he's not having big games. So he just decided to start just giving one-word answers, two-word answers to the media so he didn't get fined.
Yeah.
So that's how it came up with the I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah.
That he answered every question. My wife's favorite was when he gave the answer of oh shoot, it escapes me now. He's just kind of went on these tangents, and he's like, I'm just going to stand up here for the next 5 minutes looking at you the same way that y'all look at me. And my wife lost it because nobody does that stuff. Nobody gives it back to the media because the pen is mightier than the sword. And again, that's kind of what we want to get away from. But there's a lot of truth to that in professional athletes, and Albert Bell's is just a perfect example of it.
Bell was an antagonizer long before someone finally did the unthinkable. I don't know which beat reporter it was in Cleveland, but they said something to him, and Bell was ready to beat the crap out of him.
Didn't he hit Hannah Storm with his car?
No. It was he hit two trick-or-treaters with it.
But Hannah Storm was there.
Hannah Storm was in the dugout in the 95 World Series, and Bell was already pissed off at NBC for a couple of other reasons that nobody ever got into. NBC trashed Bell before the World Series, so he was already in a pissed off mood. So when Hannah Storm went into the dugout doing what the reporters at NBC do, because that was the network that had the World Series, and Bell went off. I mean, he was like, I don't want any of you bleepity bleeps in my bleeping dugout. You guys tore me up, and just went off on Hannah Storm, and everyone was just, how could you speak to a woman like that? And well, it wasn't that he was speaking to Hannah Storm that way. He was speaking to an employee from NBC who didn't treat Albert Bell very well during the playoffs prior to the World Series that way, and that's why he did what he did. But earlier that year, someone from the Plain Dealer, and I think it was an innocent mistake, someone from the Plain Dealer was questioning him about how Bell used to have, and I saw this firsthand, he would have notebooks. He'd have just stacks of notebooks in his locker. And somebody asked him finally, what are these notebooks for? And Bell made the comment, I write everything down from what a pitcher did to me. And in every single at bat, I write stuff down. And somebody took his notebook or tried to have access to the notebook while he wasn't there.
Oh man!
Oh my God! Bell was this close to doing the unthinkable, to where he was going to
Dear diary, today Albert Bell whooped my ass.
Yeah, he was going to knock this guy out, and a couple of people had to hold him back. I was there when I saw this. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Who the hell would in their right mind would do something like that? And years earlier,
was it Fernando Vina? That would explain a lot.
Fernando Vina, that was a different story, but that was Eddie Murray told him to do that. There's a story. Eddie Murray, the first time, you see, people don't understand, when they played Milwaukee that night, Fernando Vina did the exact same thing the first time, and Bell let him off the hook. Didn't do anything. Just basically kind of tiptoed around him. Yeah. Eddie Murray lit his ass up in the dugout and said, don't you ever do something like that again. This bleepity bleep is on the baseline. That's your baseline. He fired him up so much. The next time, there's Fernando Vina. Boom! And everyone's like, why did you do that? Eddie Murray told me to do it. He's a Hall of Famer. Eddie Murray. That's... If Eddie Murray says to do something, by God, you're going to do it, because he's Eddie freaking Murray.
Yep.
That is what it is. There's another guy. Eddie Murray was never surly to the media until Dick Young just raked him over the coals in the '79 World Series against the Pirates. He was a quiet, unassuming dude. And then in '79, Dick Young wrote a scathing article about Murray in the '79 World Series, and Eddie Murray looked at this and said, bleep you, mother bleepers.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm not speaking to any of you guys.
There's another case.
Yeah.
I mean, but from your perspective, you've been in this business a long time. What does a writer get out of that? What does a sportscaster get out of trashing somebody?
I don't get it.
Because here's a perfect scenario, Ron. Earlier this week, we had someone completely trash me personally, but they didn't know it was me. It was because we mispronounced a name. Now I'm gonna shock you here, because watching that Steelers game last night, Kevin Burkhardt, who again, good friend of yours,
he's the best,
was not the best last night.
Yeah.
Ray McLeod kept calling him Ray McDonald over and over and over again. And in the first series, I think it was 9 times he ended up calling him Ray McDonald.
Yeah.
The first series, he said it was a 3-and-out for Washington.
Yeah.
Washington got a first down in their first play. So not on his A game, but there's a way to approach that on social media, right? Hey, Kevin, just want to let you know, heads up, it's Ray McLeod.
I'm surprised that nobody in the production.
He's got a spotter.
Exactly.
This is what drives me nuts.
I'm stunned that nobody came up to him. Because, and I will say this about Kevin Burkhardt, and I've known him for 20-some-odd years. What you see in the booth is what he is in person.
That's
he is
awesome.
A great dude.
And I love it. And I know it. He's been on YSN.
So nobody would, if someone said, hey, Kevin, it's Ray McLeod, he would never in any way, shape, or form sit back and big league anybody. Because that's not the kind of guy he is. So I'm stunned that nobody came up to him or nobody in his ear said, dude, it's not Ray McDonald, it's Ray McLeod.
So then you start thinking about it. Because I'm in the mode now, right? I'm in the mode. It might not have been his fault.
It was definitely not his fault.
Well, let's not get carried away, okay? We can't point, because we don't know what happened in the booth. It could be the spotter. It could be he's got bad notes. It could be a misprint.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing Pittsburgh people were saying is, dude, look at your monitor. It's McLeod on the back of his jersey.
Yeah.
And I get it. I understand it. But what most people don't realize about what you and I do,
they don't look at the monitor.
We don't have a monitor. Well, I guess we have kind of a monitor if you look at our computer screen.
Well,
but
it's kind of small.
You've got a better view of the actual footage on the
exactly.
But here's the other thing: we don't have a spotter.
No.
We don't have a producer.
No.
We don't have a director.
Nope.
We don't have a person that is a lot of times running the camera for us. We don't have a person that's running commercials for us. We're doing all that ourselves. So my thing is, I went on Twitter and I said, you know what? You're right. I need to be better. I need to go ask the questions. However, that happened to be the Friday, and I'm not making excuses for myself. The Friday you're out, so I'm here at 8 a.m. prepping for the show with Steve for a noon broadcast that's going to take me to 3 o'clock, and then I'm going to go from 3 to 4:15 or so on the Power Hour.
Yep.
From there, I'm going to go right over and do the Salem game.
Yep.
To which I've got to set up, tear down, all that stuff.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, I'm the owner of this company, so I've got to make sure that I get my callbacks, my emails back in that 4:15 to 5:50 window.
It's impossible.
So my biggest thing, and this was my beef yesterday on the show, is leave people alone when you don't know what they have to do with their job.
Yeah.
It goes back to stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
If you've got something to say, like in Bambi, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
If you want to give us tips, and we love criticism, I love it because it helps us get better.
Absolutely.
But there's a way to do it. Hey, this person's name is pronounced, and then phonetically spell it out.
Yeah.
Not, hey, you guys are terrible announcers. This is announcer 101. Talk to, get the rosters 3 days ahead of time. Talk to the AD. Like, do you think ADs have time for us right now other than to say game or no game? Like, they don't.
Here's the other thing that, and I don't like peeling the curtain for purposes, but it's a lot different the higher up you go. The higher the food chain, it's a lot different. You're expected to have an accurate roster when you're in a certain aspect in life. High schools, you don't have an accurate roster all the time. No, that's not the fault of the ADs. It's not the fault of the coach. It's not the fault of anybody. It's high school, for God's sake. So there's going to be some times, and I ran into it last night. As a matter of fact, let me throw this out here. Camel Memorial. The roster that I got from Ariana Valentine, fantastic player for Camel, She wore number 13. She was wearing number 14 last night. We don't know who the hell number 14 was. Ran into that in the Louisville game. Ran into Savannah Tyson in the Louisville game. Savannah Tyson apparently wears number 15. On this, she wears number 32. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult when you're in high school. It's weird that it would be this difficult in high school, but easier the higher up the food chain you go. I would say this, and if Kevin were here, I'd say this to him, and he would understand it better than anybody. The higher up the food chain, you have so many things that are taken away from you to where now all you're doing is just concentrating on a game. Now, the best I ever did was in minor league baseball, but even then, I had to do all the game notes. Had to do the selling, had to do the tearing up and the setting down of the equipment, had to do all this other stuff. And oh, by the way, make sure that you talk to some other people in the other teams and get their pronunciations and the whole 9 yards, and then get some backstories from other people, which the game notes from the other team tends to do. No big deal. When you get to the point where you are in the national media, here's what you're doing. You're arriving to the game in a limousine. Number one. Number two, everything is set up for you. Number three, everything is set up for you as far as notes are concerned. You don't have to worry about taking your own stats because you have a statistician for that. You don't have to worry about taking or reading a game note because you have someone in the truck that's going to tell you what's going on in your ear, or a producer behind you in your ear when you're doing a radio broadcast.
You're a puppet.
You're a puppet. Basically, your job now is you're an amazing play-by-play broadcaster, so you're going to do your job, and that's all you need to do.
Bring the juice.
And that's it. Just bring the juice, and that's it, and that's it. And you get paid an insane amount of money to do that, and everyone thinks, oh, my God, this is easy. No, it is not easy.
No.
It's not easy at all. And I will say this. Respectfully, I will say this. I invite anybody to come down and watch a game with me and go through all the steps that we have and figure out kind of sort of what we do and the little amount of time that we have with people that are already busy because it's a pandemic and you don't want to go to an AD because the AD is already ass deep in all kinds of different stuff going on, and you don't want to be a pest, but we're YSN and we're the ones that are broadcasting games, and we probably need to be a pest because we're the people that are now responsible for being the play-by-play voices, and that's our job, and that's what we need to be a pest. Okay, whatever. But this is not an easy job.
No,
it is not an easy job, kids.
My favorite thing is when people tell us that, oh, I've always wanted to do that. And my answer is always, come on
down.
But
come on down.
You've got people like this and this is not a knock on Minerva. Minerva's trying to get a live stream going for their school, right? We've had multiple conversations with Minerva. We would love to give them a part of the YSN family.
Now they're part of the conference that Salem and West Branch and Kansas South and Carrollton are in.
They're EBC.
Eastern Buckeye.
And we want them to be in. But this gentleman, which I hope there's a mutual respect now, because I tried to educate him on what we're doing, because the worst thing that could have happened for him happened. Because he's trying to educate me that he's got an MBA, that he's almost positioning himself above me, and that we're below him. And then he messed up because he mistyped or misused your.
Uh-oh.
He said, "You're welcome," with Y-O-U-R. And
I'm going to jump all over that like a fastball down the middle of the plate.
I saw it, and I just said, asterisk, Y-O-U''RE. This is the correct usage of what you're trying to use for "you're welcome." You're welcome. And from there, it turned into very defensive, right? Anybody, and that's the key of a good Twitter fight, a good Twitter war, is you don't you can drop the mic right there. You don't have to draw attention to it. Those who know, and those who get it, get it. And my man came at YSN. Anthony Hartwig came barreling down the hill and tried to protect the honor of YSN and me. You also had Billy McCartney, who did the same thing. And listen, I will say this. If you are going to come at YSN, you better unlace those gloves, because we have literally thousands of people ready to come at you, because we do give them a service that they appreciate, especially in a pandemic, to when they can't get into the gyms. They can't get into the stadium. They can't go to the baseball field, softball diamond. Anyway, we're providing that. So if you're coming at us, and I'm talking about anybody, if you're coming at YSN, you better be ready because it's about to go down. So I know I took up way too much of your time.
It's all right.
But, dude.
All good.
Thursday, I wanted to let you know, and I know I'm kind of springing this on you. Thursday, we're going to have girls coaches calling in, and Friday we'll have boys coaches calling in.
I
3 and 3.
got a message from the GM.
From Stevie.
Yeah. And
so
he was telling me, he goes, when can we do this? And I'm like, all right, well, it's now knowing that the OHSAA is announcing all of the first, second, third team and honorable mention, all Ohio's in the noon hour. Bring them on in the 1 o'clock hour.
Yep.
Let's have some fun.
And that's it. I mean, people got. We didn't want to compete with you on Friday. We wanted to do something completely sideways to test the waters. And we brought on, I think, 5 coaches that day, and we brought Anthony on as well via phone, via the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline. But we tried to do it differently, and people kind of dug it. And I think with your experience to bring in these coaches and ask them some, not tough questions, but ask them relative questions that they're not going to see in the newspaper or 30 seconds on television, I think it helps out, So, and we're using them as coaches' corner. So it doubles down what we're trying to do.
There you go. Yeah, that's, and that's, love doing it with football. And truth be told, I have a great library with all the phone numbers of all the football coaches. And Now let's get to doing that with basketball, not just boys, but girls coaches and whatnot.
And you get to double dribble with boys and girls basketball.
Well, there you go. And there's nothing that says double dribbling quite like me because I'm pretty good at that. pretty good at that. So nothing else. By the way, I didn't have my phone with me on Friday, mainly because I didn't want, I was under until 1 o'clock or something like that. But I was curious, and then when I got home, I get these messages like, man, Friday was banging on YSN. I'm like, what was going on? And obviously we promoted all these coaches, and I was like, all right, all these coaches, did they show? Oh my God, it was banging. I'm like, all right, good.
Yeah, when Steve brought that to me, I just kind of looked at him. I was like, 6 coaches is a lot.
That's all right.
That's a
There's
lot.
nothing wrong with that.
But we did it.
That's good.
And we had some, great coaches. They didn't shy away from. We even had like a "What's Your Favorite Christmas Song" on there as well. Just because, listen, with the girls in the car now, and then my wife, everybody's got a different favorite Christmas song. And there's one song I cannot stand. And there's 3 songs that I absolutely love, and I absolutely
for Christmas.
Okay. And then you want to talk about bang? I turned that sucker up to 11, and we are jamming when my songs come on.
All right, let me hear it.
Number 1 is "All I Want for Christmas Is You," Mariah Carey.
Okay. By the way, we ripped her to shreds yesterday.
You and Anthony?
Well, no, not Anthony. Me and Larry.
Why?
While we were at the Purple Palace, they were playing that song. And I actually it was more of a rip down for me, and then it became a rip down for Mariah Carey. I sat back and said, by far and away, one of my favorite Christmas tunes, by far and away, one of my Christmas movies, which I will now turn my man card in. Mariah Carey, "All I Want for Christmas Is You" is played in Love Actually, which is one of the best Christmas movies I've ever seen. I turned my man card in, and then of course we have to turn around and say, that's about all of Mariah Carey that I can handle because, well, let's face it, she's kind of a diva. But
listen, I'll handle whatever Mariah Carey wants me to handle.
But gorgeous woman. But
so number 2,
great tune.
Number 2 is the Kelly Clarkson song. It's
another one of my favorite people.
I'm not a fan of her so much as I am the song because every time I think of her, I think of the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
But the Underneath the Christmas Tree, I think, is the name of it.
Yes.
And then number 3 is anything Jessica Simpson sings. But what Christmas means to me is what has been my favorite Christmas song for a while until she was dethroned by that. But Jessica Simpson, I've always loved Jessica Simpson.
See, old school Nat King Cole.
Oh, you're going
when Christmas chestnuts roasting on an open fire Christmas song.
Here's a better one. Better question.
Game over.
Is there one Christmas song you cannot stand?
Traditional or otherwise?
Any Christmas. I mean, it doesn't matter. Dominic the Christmas donkey can get the hell out of here.
That's an Italian too.
I can't stand it.
All right.
I can't stand it.
Okay, I can understand why. It's kind of a.
It catches every little kid's ear, and then they try to replicate.
Hee-haw.
And it's like, stop it. Stop hee-hawing in the back seat. Quiet down. Your name's not Dominic.
Oh, God. Springsteen, Santa Claus is Coming to Town is one of my favorites.
That's a good one.
That I'll crank that up. Sinatra.
John Lennon?
John Lennon. 40 years ago
So
today,
this is
unfortunate.
Christmas.
40 years ago today, unfortunately, the death of John Lennon. Heard that on Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell, of all people, telling the story when Lennon died. Late Monday Night Football. Junior year in high school when that happened. Who else?
I mean, there's bad ones. There's bad ones out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really bad
There's some pretty crappy ones. Traditional Oh Holy Night is one of my favorites. Silent Night.
Don't sidestep me, Potesta. What's the worst? What's the one you can't stand?
I gotta think of.
You're a heavy negative person. I can't believe that there is no one.
I'm not that heavy negative. I mean, I'm negative because I tell it like I see it. If I don't like something, I'm gonna pretty much say I don't like it. I got to think about.
Are you like a Christmas person? Like you change for the entire month of December?
I love Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I love
So
Christmas.
11 months you're a humbug, and then one month you're.
I'm not a humbug. I'm not a humbug. I mean, just
you're a humbug.
But if you say something that I'm not going to agree with, I'm going to sound like a humbug.
You're a humbug.
I'm not a humbug.
You're a humbug.
You just got to make sure that you're saying something that I agree with, and I'm not going to be a humbug. Oh, Lord. I have to think about this.
Think about it. Get back to me.
I do. I have to think about this.
I got to go send some links out for our show.
Hey, by the way.
Trivia Tuesday.
Letonia, who's doing the game tonight?
Derek. Gross.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
What, you want in on it?
Oh, I'm going to be sneaking in tonight. I'm going to be sneaking in tonight.
I don't know if you know this, but people watch this show. And
see, this. I still have this. So
what does that do for you?
This is a coaching staff shirt, so I can
go make one of those
and coach
stitches and stuff.
And Coach D is going to be like, "Come on over, sit down on the bench. No big deal."
You better take that YSN pass just in case.
Yeah, that's true.
You might want to do that.
Yeah,
you can write a story for us.
Actually, it's. I don't know how good of a story it's going to be because we're hurting a bunch of kids tonight.
Really?
No Marco, no Timmy Finch. United's
good.
looking for their first win of the year, so that's.
Well, Keaton's pretty doggone
good. Keaton may go off.
They got
tonight.
a 6'4", 6'6" kid too, right?
Yeah. Troy Burdine's kid plays
at
United, and if he's as good as Troy was as a shooter, that could be fun to watch too.
He was pretty good last year.
Yeah, Troy was a good shooter back in the day.
Going to be a good. Well, Troy's one of my favorite people, favorite coach of all time for myself.
He's the reason why I got suspended for 1 week at Letonia.
We know.
So
we know. All right, I got to go set this up.
Right.
Thanks for letting me share.
That's it. All right, 330-886-0813. Now I got to think about a worst Christmas song. I don't know. Is there really such a thing as a bad Christmas gift or bad Christmas song? I don't know. I got to think about that one. All right, take a time out. Be back in a little bit. It's a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet, Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plan still meets your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com. Coming up tomorrow, we will hear from Brian Driscoll from IrishBreakdown.com. We'll talk about the Notre Dame victory over Syracuse that will now propel Notre Dame into the ACC title game against Clemson 1 week from Saturday. They'll play that game. That will be coming up, our conversation with Brian Driscoll coming up at about 12:15 tomorrow, and we'll also talk to John Vargo from the Vindicator as well as the Tribune Chronicle. Anthony Hartwig will be in studio, and we'll have John Vargo via the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline at about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then tomorrow we'll also have at some point the D2 and D3 all-state football players. And again, we made mention D4 and D5 today. Some good representation from the area as well as yesterday with D6 and D7. We did not get some of the high honors like co-offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year or coach of the year. We did not get any of those honors, but we did get plenty of first and second and third team all Ohioans, as well as honorable mention. It was good to see a lot of underclassmen in the names, to which pretty good chance those kids are going to be back next year and maybe, just maybe, having an even better chance at another All-Ohio honor in 2021. So we'll have the All-Ohio Division II and Division III. We'll announce those names from our YSN family tomorrow as well. All right, we'll take a final timeout and be back to wrap this bad boy up. It's a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Hey, welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. That is going to do it for the program. Many, many thanks to all of our sponsors. Many thanks also to our Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle sports editor Doug Chapin. He calls in every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and we'll have some fun with that. It's okay. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Brian Driscoll with IrishBreakdown.com at about 12:15, 12:20. We'll hear from John Vargo tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, and we'll invite your phone calls as well. That'll do it for the program. Stick around. Power Hour is coming up next. Have a great rest of the day. We will talk tomorrow